Welcome back, friends, to the Analyst Desk. We're here to set you up for our next two games, and it sets you up in a positive light, right? Imagine it that way. Hello, I'm Soniqs, your host. With me on the Analyst Desk, join me for the first time this Invitational, or my North American colleagues, Jesse and Jacob. Hello.
Good to be here, Milos. We've been dodging you the last couple of play days, hey?
Yeah. Not intentionally, I swear to God. It's not. We don't dislike you, I swear.
He was dodging me on purpose last night. That was more because
There's a little game going on.
Yeah, he was trying to roast 2 weeks ago. Even you celebrated too early, Jesse.
The Oilers let me down.
Yeah, well, they let everybody down. Don't worry. Canadians also are used to it. Anyways, back to the Soniqs and DarkZero. We're focused on North America here. Of course, we have our two North American analysts to talk about it. Now, what do these two have to offer? Because it seems like they played against one another 1,000,001 times in the NAL.
Yeah, of course, they're going to be very familiar as two North American opponents, and I think it's worth noting that the Soniqs had the first choice in opponent when it came down to picking who they wanted to play against. They got to choose of all the 3 seeds except for the one team that was already in their group. Basically, they chose DarkZero as their opponent. So clearly, they're feeling good about this matchup. They know these guys on the other side of the stage. They're going to feel comfortable, hopefully, going up against them, and so it should be very exciting to see what Soniqs have in mind for their DarkZero opponents.
I mean, given an opportunity to go against a domestic opponent, one that you've faced tons of times before, and one that doesn't seem like they're nearly at the top of their game, and a team that has a rookie that you maybe can find a weakness to exploit here or there, it seemed like the most sensible choice for the Soniqs to go with DZ. And given the amount of times they've faced each other over the past couple of years, even if the team composition and who's eye gelling has gone through some changes over the past several months just by itself, I think it's still definitely going to be a good game.
Yeah.
The NA Classic, as some would call it in many a ways.
Well, it's becoming an NA Classic. It might not be there just yet, but we're definitely getting there. I think you can look at an SSG-TSM rivalry as maybe one that's been going on for a bit longer, but I think when we're talking in just a domestic context, this rivalry in particular is one that continues to take different twists and turns every month or so.
The All-American, as they like to say, between these two squads, both Soniqs and DarkZero. And they've got a couple of star players as well, Jacob. I know you wanted to dive in on these guys.
Yeah, specifically Citizen coming into the team, everyone was wondering how exactly is he going to fit? Is it going to be an instantaneous sort of thing? But up against NJR, I was surprised looking at the statistical difference. Now, obviously, if you're looking at the numbers by themselves, especially on KD and on entry, it may look a little bit fewer, just by a bit, because the Soniqs have only played 8 maps compared to the 12 or 11 that DarkZero have played so far.
Yeah.
So if it looks a little bit down, it's not a huge deal, but NJR has stepped up in such a big way, and he's becoming the player that we all knew he could be back in his DG days, back when he was playing in the underage leagues, when he was getting called up and everyone was hyping him up to be that player. He is that player right now, and he's doing it on ace, on attack for the most part.
Yeah, important for these stats. Soniqs have played the 3rd least amount of rounds out of any team so far at this tournament. DarkZero, the 3rd most amount of rounds of any team at this tournament. So there might be a little bit more footage on DZ that Soniqs can hope to exploit, but of course, that doesn't mean that DZ don't have a little more up their sleeve still.
Well, yesterday we sat down with Soniqs and asked them a few questions, so let's see what they have to say.
Me and my team performance was really good in my opinion. A couple of issues that we had, but we resolve them each match we play. We just make sure that none of these issues resurface and we'll be better next time. For me personally, the expectation that we can expect is I want to play W7M. I think, our play style against theirs will be really good. I think they've been struggling against a couple of things, so I think if we do get them, we could put up a good fight and make it a good game. I think the thing that we'll try and improve is obviously our post-plant. Post-plant is not too good at the minute, especially against Owl, so definitely get up, and our communication and teamwork, just keep that as top as it can be and we'll be fine. I think the biggest threat obviously is Liquid. I think even though they've been playing quite bad or poor recently, I think they're still a team to watch. You don't know what they could do. They've been playing well the whole year. I don't think they'll just let themselves down at the end now, so I think they'll be the ones to watch. The way we'll prepare is we'll be a bit more stricter in terms of what we want to play and how we want to play, to make sure everything is perfect and there's no gaps. And, we'll go into these playoffs with full confidence, make sure our issues are resolved and try and beat everyone we can. Well, guys, all I'm going to say is NA needed to bring over a Brit to win Invite, and that's the way it's looking. Just be ready for me.
And that is the Soniqs. They've been going through pretty well, I have to say, here in the group stage, and they move on to a pretty comfortable position, especially considering the fact that Citizen is now in the squad, a last-minute change, many would say, that's proved very fruitful for the squad.
Yeah, NA needs a Brit to come win a hammer. We'll see about that. Yet to be decided, but certainly I think Soniqs are looking very good for North America. One Brit on the team or not. Of course, Citizen has had a fantastic group stage as well. 14-2 on the entry, a 7.0 entry ratio. Insane. I believe one of the highest that we had through the group stage. Also been performing throughout the team. So really impressive stuff from Citizen so far.
Yeah, just from a compositional point of view, everyone on Soniqs is playing the role that they were born for, the one that it feels like really accentuates their skill set. Gio's in the backline calling, playing support in exactly the same way that he was doing on TSM. Citizen is coming in doing Citizen things. Back when he played for G2, when he played for Na'Vi, we know from a mechanical standpoint, no one's really going to touch him, and he made his case as the best player in Europe and perhaps even one of the best players in the world over the past year or two. And then the big three core for this team, Rexon, Grixer, and then you've got Gunnar, and we wondered if Gunnar's skill set would be utilized appropriately, but it seems like he's had more time to settle in with the roster. He's doing great on a vertical position. He's played primarily Sledge at this event, and he's also got the personality to really bring this team up. I think if you look at everyone on this squad and wonder if they would work together, you'd look at it and first glance think, how do all of these guys mesh together well in a room? The answer is, so far, they've only dropped 2 maps.
Well, that's Soniqs, but what about their opponents on the other side, DarkZero? They also answer some questions. What did they say? What was it? I don't know.
I don't feel great about our performance. Obviously, I'm very confident in what we can do, but I think we've identified our issues, and if we can fix those, then we'd compete with anyone here. I'm very confident in our opponent in Soniqs. I think in scrims, our maps have always been very close with them. I think, obviously, DarkZero is very famous for their prep work. I think we can really prepare ourselves well for that game, so very confident. Our biggest improvements going into playoffs are definitely going to be our pacing on attack and our late rounds on defense. People love to underestimate us, and we keep proving them wrong, so watch out. We don't see anyone as a threat. No one scares us.
And DarkZero, Soniqs' opponent. This is, as we said, becoming an NA Classic. What can they bring with now NJR leading the squad?
Yeah, NJR has been kind of their star player. I think a very underrated guy who's been growing on the team for a very long time. They picked him up as an entry fragger a couple of years back, and he didn't really work out in that role. They've moved into more of a support area. He's been very good on the smoke, had a huge couple of clutches just a few days ago against M80, including the game-winning round. So he's been very consistent for the team, certainly their highest-rated player, and we're excited to see what he can do here today.
Obviously, a big concern for DarkZero is not finishing these games quickly. Even if they were to win, it's going to go sometimes the full 15. I think they had that matchup against Secret was 43 out of the maximum 45 rounds you can have. So if they have an advantage, they need to capitalize on it quickly, end that bad boy before it has the chance to go extra rounds. And I also think from a map pool perspective, as much as they've liked Border and they've picked it a couple times so far, that's probably where I have the biggest concern. Just don't go to Border again and you might have more openings.
Now, yesterday I put out a stat on Twitter about the tactical timeouts for DarkZero. And listen, I'm human. Everybody makes mistakes. The stat was wrong.
Oof.
Quickly corrected by Twitter, and we got that figured out. However, I wanted to really set the record straight because these two coaches have been the best two coaches throughout the entire group stage at calling those tac timeouts and converting them into a win. They both have a 100% win rate directly after they took those tactical timeouts. Only one other coach through the group stage was able to do that. That was Igor, coach of W7M, who coincidentally is also going to be playing very shortly on the B stream. So if you want to watch both streams, there's plenty of time to watch the coaches and get some great tac timeouts going. But both these squads obviously have been very consistent. Goddess for the Soniqs, and of course Mint for DarkZero. They've been coaching their teams all year long, and I think undoubtedly they've gotten a lot of respect as being some of the best coaches inside of all of North America.
Then let's see what our coaches help the teams to go for, map veto-wise. We'll bring that up on the screen. There it is. Jacob helps out.
Okay, I think we're out of the phase of Soniqs permabanning Kafe, because that used to be what they'd always take off first, and now we're at a point where they're allowing other teams to pick it against them. They have played it once so far at this tournament, and they won it when it was played previously. DarkZero thinking that they have a couple of other options to best them on it, and as far as their own preference goes, it is still relatively high. It's just very, very weird seeing Soniqs go to Kafe in any serious context still.
After that, we're going to have a border being picked up by Soniqs. They're on a 3-game win streak on that map. They beat SSG back in Stage 2, Mirage in Stage 3, and then BDS in the Yongshipping semifinals. And for DarkZero, that's a map they got a 4-game losing streak on. 2 back in Stage 2, 2 more at SI against both Heroic and FaZe. So a lot of odds on DZ for that one. I'm sure Soniqs have been prepping it.
Yeah, and if for some reason we need Clubhouse, that's a map I would call Soniqs' highest preference map. If they're able to go to it as often as possible, they're always going to try. DarkZero themselves also like it a lot, but both teams over the course of the past year only sitting at just above a 50% win rate if you factor all of their maps in for all of 2022. So it'll be interesting if we require a Clubhouse, but again, we might not get there depending on how Kafe goes.
All right, thank you very much, wonderful analysts. Let's toss it to our casters. It's the wonderful Blue and Stokes. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. And it is time now, ladies and gentlemen, to get ourselves ready to dive deep into yet another series here, another North American derby. Just getting ready to start between the Soniqs as well as DarkZero. Maps are going to be interesting because we go from very much the opposite sides of the extreme. Starting out on Kafe, we start with a very methodical, very team-oriented game style. Moving over to Border, we get very tight, very claustrophobic. Gives room for those individuals to shine out inside of their holds. And then we spread things back out again one final time for Clubhouse. Stokes, what do you make of things as we get ready to go on to Kafe here?
I think it's going to be a pretty fun game, especially all things considered, like you were talking about with Kafe starting us off here, and especially with, looking at the map pool and considering it from DarkZero's point of view, they really haven't given up too many maps. There's a veil over these that we're going to uncloak here today. They've been able to hide these away, but the Soniqs have also been on a burner when it comes to this tournament, so I think it'll be neck and neck. As we know with DarkZero, they always keep things close. I'm expecting at least maximum rounds inside of regulation here today.
Soniqs, of course, having a great group run, winning pretty much most of their matches except for the one against M&M, and even that one, of course, going to pretty much the full distance either regulation or overtime on both of the maps they did end up playing. Just was not able to close out, unfortunately, on a few of those crucial rounds that ended up costing them the series in 2-0 fashion. They're down a little bit lower with regards to the playoffs now in terms of where they match up, and ironically enough, they match up against one of the teams from their very own region in DarkZero. Very much going to be a clash of play styles too here. DarkZero, as we saw, always plays things very slow, very methodical, runs it down usually almost all the time to that 20-second marker, but specifically as Canadians showed us in their most recent game, they can shake that up every once in a while. Specifically, there was their first attack on Chalet against M80 in their last game of the group, where they gave us quite literally a rush play into the sites. DarkZero, as the analyst desk was alluding to, certainly does have a few tricks up their sleeves, and I think now that we've reached the bracket stage of the tournament, it's a bit more likely we'll potentially see that stuff come out, as it's very much DarkZero fighting for their survival. The same can be said for the Soniqs. Here we go, though, ladies and gentlemen. Kafe Dostoyevsky is map number 1, 67%. We've got an even 2-1 split on the poll here. So let's see if you guys are right, or if DarkZero is here for a little bit of a surprise victory if they can end up taking this series instead. Bans are live. It's DarkZero with the 2 outer ones. First attacker, last defender. Soniqs have the next 2 coming up after this one.
All right, well, let's get into this thing, shall we? The last time that we saw the Soniqs play on this map, it was up against the Wolves, where they gave them quite a bit of a pounding. Let me tell you, it was only Mowgli that was really able to muster anything, 11-8 for him, but the Soniqs lit this sky on fire. Everybody playing extremely well. The only person going even would be Gunner at 8-8. Everybody else positive across the board with some fantastic KPRs as well. So the entire Soniqs roster looking to step up here and see if they can take it to DarkZero. As we were talking about prior, DarkZero definitely a roster that can give as good as they get. So going to be interesting on a map like Kafe that's pretty utilitarian. And especially with these bans coming in, it's looking like it's going to be even more fun.
Pretty much no surprises when it comes to the bans. It aligns very well with what we have been seeing throughout the course of the tournament, especially for the defender side. Once again, just those 2 new power operators getting banned out. Way too useful. Azami gives herself way too much individual play capability, especially here on Kafe for areas upstairs like Cigar and whatnot. Solus as well, just a bit of a drone menace in the early round, and can continue that individualistic play style deeper into it. So we'll get ourselves started. Round number 1 coming up here. Let's take a look at how both of these teams are feeling out. They've had a few days break and an opportunity to warm themselves up for the bracket stage.
We're going to be starting things off on the bottom floor for DarkZero inside a kitchen. Going to be breaking some things up, at least for the coat check angles. Looks like we want to press our way out into bakery as well. Good little position for the Warden. A lot of this going to hinder on NJR, having some success inside of this round, and we're going to have to look just how much success he's going to have on the Sonic side of things. How many smokes, how many stuns do we have to deal with? Well, it looks like a lot of soft breach here, especially with the Ash coming in. They're going to change over the hard breach to the Habana as well, have the Jackal for the tracks on the top floor. So Soniqs keeping that info game strong, and that's been a routine thing, not only for them, but for a multitude of teams on their offensive side this entire tournament.
Slow rolling just to start things out here as the Soniqs going to be positioning themselves to take that initial map control. DarkZero playing mainly on the horizontal front here, so it's going to take quite a while to burn out all this excess defense here and leave themselves in an appropriate position to attack the site, but the Soniqs are wasting no time setting up for that potential clear. As already, of course, you can see Geo detonating one of the thermite charges to pop open the white garage panel. That'll give them access point to the freezer, if that is going to be their choice execute area. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of focus on it right now, trying to see if they can bait out any aggression from Pambo while overwatching those angles, but DarkZero members are restrained. They're smart about it. They're not going to be overplaying their hand. Canadian will strike first as well, catching Gunnar to knock him down and give his team the opening kill advantage.
Nice little pickup for him. Canadian recognizing the player for Smallbeck. Gunnar trying to hold things down. Soniqs really not too aggressive when it comes to the top floors, knowing that DarkZero more than likely playing this horizontally on this base level right now, but they've lost two big players. Trying to pressure now. Skies with some big shots, playing very well off this position. Constantly baited in. NJR with some nice shots. He'll get down, but it's a flawless round for DarkZero. No respect from the Soniqs. Amazing team play from DZ.
DarkZero putting out a statement there, not giving over anything inside of the first round, and quite literally holding it to the bitter end of it. The Soniqs not able to score even a single kill. They did get it down technically against one of their members, but still not able to fully knock them out. So DarkZero with a definitive statement for round number 1 and moving right along. We'll head up to the second floor into dining for their second site hold here. Actually, excuse me, it's going to be mining and dining.
Yes, indeed. Also, they're going to be bringing the sledge this time, like this pickup here from Citizen. Didn't have it the last time. Would have made processing the mid-floor, at least soft destruction-wise, a little bit more difficult for the Soniqs if they did go for that in that last round. But still, I think it's still an option for them, especially with the Jackal in that they had prior. You have that secondary shotgun. You still have all of these things at your disposal. We just didn't really see them be too confident in that clear. I thought they could just take it horizontal note, but obviously not the case. DarkZero making mincemeat out of them in that situation, and now gonna hold on to this top floor. We've got the Mira in, got the Warden still, as well as the Frost Mats, and we know those have been the bane of everybody's existence. IQ not able to help with those either, as they don't have batteries in those things. It's just a mechanism. This happens to be the worst kind of mechanism for your ankles. See what Soniqs can get going here. They're going to keep the Ash in. Obviously, that double down like we were talking about before with the soft destruction from Sledge. The IQ really just going to help out with the likes of like ADSs and Wamai. I think get some verticality on some of these positions, but still might be a little bit difficult for the Soniqs to try and get dealt with.
Pretty inactive in the early round yet again. So we continue to wait for these repels to lead to some opening action for the Soniqs. Certainly looking forward, but obviously did not turn into a whole lot in the last round. They were attempting to play things similarly, just skirting on the very outsides of the hot zones here for DarkZero. Trying to see if they can bait out any of the aggression from the defenders, but just not really getting it. When they do finally get it, the defenders more than ready for said challenge. Able to shut it down outright 5 times in a row without a single response coming through. So I'm going to continue to look for that one here. Citizen with an angle now onto a player further down White Hallway, but it's such a tiny angle, and he has to give away a lot here. Gunnar, thankfully, will have a little bit better success over on the Cigar Rappel. He'll be able to take down Panda as he tries to go deeper back into Cigar from that white lane that Citizen was also pinching in from. As they use that maneuver, they are able to finally score their opening kill.
First big pickup for Soniqs. MZ will go down. Nice little patience play here from Rexon. DarkZero sent reeling. Little pickup play they could possibly get on Skies here as well. Ill-advised right now, but he can't really do anything about it. I mean, he was here, and every little facet around him just fell down, so no escape hatch for him. Have to wait to see if he can potentially get the Soniqs members to make a mistake, but Rexon's already on the clone, and that's just so very unfortunate. Has to try and head for the hills. They're going to cut him off in the Cigar angle. So many bodies around here, and this bar so difficult to try and position around. He's going to have it. Oh, nice shots. Able to get one drone out. Does he know he's inside the bathroom? Actually, no. Rexon's going to be down the hallway. Escaped out the back end, and JR's picked him up. They've somehow managed this down to a 1 versus 3, almost a 2 versus 3, but a little mistake made there. Geo to get the case down now. Sky says to go for the full rotation. He'll drop down red. Has the angle, almost has the shots.
Didn't realize the planner was directly to his left, unfortunately. Moving just a bit too quick there in that scenario, so unable to bring out the clutch at the end of the day. The Soniqs are able to control it, as we've often seen them do from these advantageous positions. Scoring that first kill or two is a very bad sign for DarkZero, as that activates the rest of the aggression from the Soniqs. They're perfectly okay to throw a life or two away if it means they're going to be able to trade it out a few seconds later. That's exactly what we get in the later moments of that round once they're able to score those beautiful openers by clearing out the third floor.
Extremely well done. DarkZero not really able to position themselves safely enough on that top floor once the Soniqs got control. No real advantage in intel going the way of DZ either. You could see they just weren't really able to understand the positioning at that point, and that's what ended up getting them into some trouble. So a little unfortunate there, especially for Skies, as he was able to make a pretty big play, but just didn't really matter at the end of the day, as nobody else was really able there to try and collectively help him. So it's going to be 1-1. DarkZero lose their first defense here on Kafe. And I'm actually quite curious to see what Kafe is looking like as a map right now. 13 plays so far, so one of our more played maps is in third place right now, tied with Chalet. 53% defensive win rate overall, so almost right down the middle. Only 2% off of Bank, only 3% off of Border, which is a perfect 50 at the current moment.
So his time continues to move down here. We've got the Soniqs out on the board. The setup now being just completed. We're going to see quite the colorful one from the Soniqs here as well. The gridlock to try and block off some rotation points.
Stairwell Jane.
Yep, the Ying, of course, to try and just get access to this site in the first place through those hatches or other mechanisms such as the repels here. And then the Lion even to try and suss out a few of the rotations from DarkZero when they start getting a bit more mobile as the action begins.
I like the info we got here, John. Candelas as well for the execution. Air jabs out. Air jab's always so fantastic on Kafe. Very annoying. So many different window plays and other things you can do with those things. Looks like we got some stuns in that'll get eaten up with the my disc. NJR with a nice flick. Just so happens to be a drone, not a head. Aim Lab's really working out for him, it seems. Minute off the board. Just the angles being adopted for the Soniqs now. They're waiting to try and get an execution in on the Cocktails side. We have Gunner over top with the track stingers. Candela's in. Citizen's going to make the play from White. Not a very common angle, and therefore DarkZero probably not going to be ready for this. Pre-fires in through the smoke. Citizen, he's good to see through stuns, not smokes. It's up to Skies to try and stop this now, but he's dead and gone. Soniqs completely catching DarkZero off guard with this White play.
Canadian left alone, gets a dirty one as he hops over the banister to finish things off, but is not able to take it further than that. Soniqs, like I explained at the end of the last run, always on point when it comes to the trade game. That means their communication game definitely ace as far as this tournament is confirmed so far as well. Beautiful stuff from them as it's a very quick rebound from the Soniqs after a rocky start, and they are now in control at 2-1.
Love the build up there from the Soniqs, especially with the window plays we saw there, John. That a single person in the building, actually. 2 people on the roof, 1 over on the far cocktail window / heaven. Didn't really get to see that position too well. But the White window, I do believe the one, obviously matching with that would obviously be cocktail for Nomad, but still, Soniqs able to manage to put all those together and tie it up with a nice bow. Able to layer those in there, all sparking with that White play, that White swing from the Nomad, or rather the Candela wielding Ying. So very well done from the Soniqs. Really love that build-up once again. So round 4, we'll jump into this. NJR going to be back onto the ward, and they're more than likely going to keep that milling around the entire time with how common Ying play is for executions. She's on the list. You're allowed to play the op, so good thing to keep around. And it looks like it's going to matter even more now. Some more smokes rolling in here, not only with Rexon, but also with Gunner in that secondary utility.
It's definitely going to be the big showpiece, though. There's all the incendiaries as well to try and burn out hard points, especially behind these countertops and whatnot that sit on the inside of the kitchen that DarkZero will be wanting to play behind. And of course relies on the Soniqs actually getting to the site this time. As for those who remember back in round number 1, Easy shut it down, had a flawless hold. Some nice peaks that they were able to throw out against Soniqs' own opening aggression. Shut them down outright before they can take any considerable amount of map control. Geo looking to change that up this time. The same opening steps being deployed here as he immediately pops the thermite charge over on White Garage, but Where they go beyond this, we have to wait and see. His last round strategy just did not pan out. So curious to see the adjustments we may get from the Soniqs on the second go-around.
It was quite successful last time we saw DarkZero go here, but Soniqs practically milled themselves in that situation. It looks like it might happen again here. NJR is getting burnt out. He pre-fires more damage onto him. Those arrows constantly expanding until they reach their maximum size. So when they start, always have to watch your positioning. They're losing quite a bit of HP, but the same could be said about Grixer. One of them makes the right guess, the other one's dead. Geometrics and the rest of the gang, though, they're going to be over on White Stairs, trying to make the swing, trying to make the push in, but they don't account for the cross from Skies. Alex knocks him down. Soniqs just can't get through this basement floor. They can't even get in the building. At least when it comes to the basement floor. Gunner, he's found some space upstairs. We were talking about this prior, how Soniqs constantly like to position themselves around the outside of that base floor. Nobody working the verticality. We're finally going to get that going here in 1 minute and 18 seconds.
Pig is in there from the Jackal. Does spot out Skies, forces a reposition as he's trying to lean into the cocktail hold. Won't work out. The whiskey hold won't work out as he's forced back. Gunner going to be rotating back down into that freezer opening. Still 2 players down here as the Soniqs looking at a very, very similar situation to what occurred back in round number 1, but just able to slow things down a bit this time, at least give themselves a reset point, but it still has not improved the situation. 2 out of 3 of their players already either down or dead. Citizen so far able to trade out 1, but he's quite literally got to kill the entirety of DarkZero's roster to win this now. With 45 seconds to go, you can see just kind of pre-firing a few of these corners. Doesn't really have the best amount of intel in terms of where these players are even positioned at, which is a far cry from what we were working with about 30 seconds prior. So this one just not looking like it's going to realistically work out for DarkZero at the end of the day. We'll see what Citizen can put on the table, but more than likely it's going to be tied up 2-2 in a few seconds here.
Absolutely. Not really too much Citizen's going to be able to do here in DarkZero. Way too stalwart when it comes to a position like this. Not going to try and throw away too many bodies. Not a line they'll cross. So, very well done from DarkZero. Tied this up 2-2. Really don't know why we're not seeing Soniqs try and process this top floor. Just really trusting themselves when it comes to this utility game and trying to get this execute off with some of these smoke plays. But the advantage then leans over to NJR in a lot of those positions, or if somebody plays aggressively off of that smoke right before it goes off, like we saw at the bottom of red. There's a bunch of other ways that the defense can play around that. I think it's just given a little bit too much of a play over to DarkZero in that moment. So maybe we can see Soniqs make an adjustment for that site down the line. Remember, attacker repick, very, very big ordeal when it comes to Rainbow Six. So they find that site out later on. Well, maybe potentially they change things up, but we'll just have to see. So Soniqs and DarkZero into round 5 now. And actually, effectively, won't even have that opportunity to go back to that site. So a little unfortunate there for the Soniqs as we'll be jumping into this. And once again, we're going to have this Warden in. So really hoping that we're not going to rely too much on the smoke utility here for DarkZero. Well, at least for Soniqs' case up against DarkZero. But for the Soniqs, it looks like they've definitely got some solid execute utility coming into this, especially with the Dokkaebi. This is going to be the first time that we're going to see here coming in.
So we will take a peek at how Soniqs will look to repeat the success now and try to lock in what could realistically become a 4-2 if DarkZero is not able to make appropriate adjustments here for their upstairs hold. You'll note they go directly back to the third floor instead of going for what was the second round site, and therefore would correspond with this round. That would be down on the second floor, so they're having a little bit more confidence in the third floor hold, and generally I would tend to agree. They kind of got ran over on that second floor mining hold, a little bit of an off site as well for a lot of teams. Usually we see library be that second floor site hold, so maybe just not ready to come out of the oven yet as far as DarkZero's strat department is concerned, and they'll be hiding that one for the next round as well. But things go quiet here, of course, as the Soniqs just take up their opening positions. A little bit of extra drone time for them too, as their more aggressive players are still getting into position and getting the necessary intel to throw themselves at the enemy.
Geo very aware of the potential play from DarkZero. Hopping out towards the eastern side, but it's going to be an assault on the mid floor. Headed off by NJR as he'll take down the Citizen. The logic bomb's going through, but still the audio not giving up his position via the hatch. A lot of noise going in via Citizen's headset there. Kind of gets discombobulated in a sense. Geometric is going to assume the position. We saw this the last time as he was the window player here. We saw with the Ying coming in on top, White trying to move his way in via cocktail. Able to get that plant down. I'm going to be in the same hands as last time. Good hands, as we all know, when it comes to Geo. So as for now, Citizen and the rest of the gang for Soniqs not able to do too much just trying to see what they can find on this mid floor. Oh, finally.
Rexen strikes first here, able to clear things out on the inside of Library. Was priming himself up for a frag grenade, but doesn't really have the intel for it.
Thought they had the yellow ping there.
I think he might have been hoping that the Lion gave him something there too. Yeah, there's the yellow ping sitting above him, but it's outdated intel now, unfortunately. Even worse, the update comes in a second later. I don't even think Skies is in a nadeable position right now.
That is concrete, you are correct.
He's going to be chilling out here. Nothing to worry about as far as he's concerned. Maybe a little bit of damage could be stuck in from that doorway floor paneling there, but for the most part, he's not really going to be susceptible to that. Gets the cross as well, so now he's sitting in top white. So the moment has gone from the Soniqs here. A little bit of a fumble in the communication front, cost them another kill opportunity. Now they're going to have to try and look for it through another avenue. Vivian does try to pop up that Nitro at bottom white. We don't really have a lot of activity going on there from the Soniqs in the meanwhile. Team is starting to get a little bit low on time, and they still need to actually enter the building here on the 3rd floor because they need a bit more than that usual 20 seconds, in my opinion. Let's see if they can get things done now as they're really reaching that critical point.
They still have one EE1D. Grixer will be the one that lets us know when this goes down. When these swings come in, once the stuns come through. Soniqs have done a great job of maximizing their drones this round. They're down to 2, but look at the time. EE1D off, and I'll be a telltale sign for all of DarkZero. Canadian with the big play. Pambazoo takes one down as well. Soniqs, they can't find a single DarkZero member. Somebody kill somebody. Oh no. Finally, Rexen will pick up something. He hops outside, tries to get Skies. He's going to run back into the building. Might just pre-fire him on the way, but no time. The defenders make their case, and it's a pretty strong one.
Nice it out once again from DZ. Very similar to round number 1 where they just listen up here. Now this completely just blocked them out, just like in round number 1 here, never really letting them get any serious map control except for the bottom of the red hatch drop, which the attackers oftentimes kind of get by default when you get to a late enough point in the round anyway. So beautifully held there by DZ. Soniqs kind of at a loss for words, it seemed, to a certain extent, when they got down to that pivotal 40 seconds about what they necessarily needed to do, and just never really had the confidence to pull the trigger and move it past that point.
Really wasn't any play to match up with what Gio was going for on his side either. When it came to like their initial build-up, Gio was over on white top for quite some time. All on his lonesome, all the Soniqs were trying to get things going on the mid floor. It eventually worked out. I really like that they attempted to enter the building and clear things out down low. More than likely, a little worried about nitro cells and stuff like that, because you know the initial opening there for the Soniqs was the same, right? You have Gio over on the window, a lot of recognition there for DarkZero, and they're not stupid. They're gonna recognize that right off rip as soon as those windows start opening. So Soniqs trying to add a couple new things, a little nuance to their play, but it didn't work out. Honestly, with that positioning, it's almost like the Candela play would have worked all over again. But, you know, it's hard to say. You still have that Warden there, so there's always a chance that Skies can play that out correctly, especially, you know, he was starting to favor the top of white as well, so that's really where things get lost in the ether. But yeah, it was mostly just Soniqs getting those bodies lost early on that really punished them severely. Didn't really have that extra player to try and press themselves up on a position like Skies and give DarkZero a lot of trouble.
And so the Soniqs now enter their final round of the attack. See if they can recenter things, give us back an even scoreline. Or if DarkZero really is meant to take control of this half, apparently. And they instead will claim the 4-2. It'll certainly subvert the expectations the Soniqs had going into the 4th round there, where it very much looked like they were in control, save for the first floor hold. DarkZero always the king of adjusting to these things, to bring themselves back into control, as they're the ones wanting to take the Swiss series, keep themselves in a dominating position here in the upper bracket of SI 2023. Bit of a slow roll so far, as the Soniqs have quite a few tricky parts of this clear to figure out once again. So I don't expect any crazy action to unfold for another 30 or 40 seconds, at best, is my guess.
Zero hard breach here, because you don't really need it when it comes to this site. They're looking for a reading plant and an attempt to clear out the top floor, but Pambazoo already getting in the way of that. Grixer picked off on the Christmas side. Buck, a big game changer here as well. Fortunate for Grixer, but they do still have the sledge as well as the ash. So much redundancy as well as just good weaponry when it comes to these ops. So frag grenades in the pocket of Gunner, and he's going to try and apply those as necessary. Rexen to take down Pambazoo. That's what we saw take down Grixer earlier. So a little revenge for his fallen comrade. Canadian's going to take down Gio, though, as well. And it's a carousel on the top floor. Everybody trying to rotate around each other. Rexen with a big kill, but a pre-fire. Skies catching 2 inside of Freezer. Nobody checking the position he played the last time on the top floor. DarkZero with some big plays. Alex shutting it down.
Beautiful hold from DZ. Yet again, the Soniqs, unfortunately, just really struggling when it comes to those site executes where they are forced into the same site, or the same level, of course, where their opponents are already defending, just really struggling, whether it was downstairs on the first floor trying to take kitchen control where you had that horizontal defensive setup, or of course here on the third floor for the past 2 rounds where they had something to clear there. They just really could not work their way past that initial entry point, unfortunately, and it led to way too many lost players. And even when they were able to establish positioning, as we see, still room being left open for the individual members of DarkZero to just go off like we saw Skies do there towards the tail end of that last round. So unfortunate as the Soniqs lose their edge on the final rounds of the attacking side and now sit 2 rounds back entering the defense.
I will say this, I am happy that the Soniqs are, going for what they think is best, right? They're really not changing things up too much in some certain senses, right? Sticking to what they've practiced. But I would like to see a little bit more team play on certain angles. We ended up losing Grixer there on the Christmas side in a little unfortunate accident there. But you can also just chalk most of this up to DarkZero playing their advantages in these situations, right? They have the info on the player on repel. They take an aggressive swing. Grixer loses it. These things happen, right? We're not trying to be too hard on these players. And obviously it is Kafe as well. The offensive side sometimes can be pretty damning and just breaks down like that. So the Soniqs, they've been able to now switch sides. We're through 6 rounds on to defense. They're going to start in the exact same place that we saw DZ start long ago. See if they can potentially muster this round. Skies is going to be on the Monty, and that's going to be the first shield that we have in the series.
Soniqs are bringing the Echo into this one as well, just for that last second interruption potential, and as well, some potential scouting that could be done from the drone itself. He's going to be trying to take a page out of some other teams' books.
A little fun with the Monty as well, a little fun interaction there.
Should be certainly slowing down Skies, or annoying him to a pretty decent extent as he tries to move forward and get that initial control. Like Stokes said, there a great capability to actually get the interruption off onto the Monty too, with a shield maybe blocking his back there if he ends up being the actual planter when push comes to shove, as it would currently suggest, with Skies actually carrying it at the moment. First minute is gone though, and DarkZero really not taking a whole lot of that map control, not they necessarily need to here. We've explained before, it's kind of the exploratory phase of the round where you can send people in to take initial map control if you want to, but for a lot of teams they tend to just kind of hold it back. Now right during that second minute, this is the clear phase where we need to see DarkZero actually taking the critical kind of staging points that they need to get themselves into the site, and then the final minute, any additional prep that is needed, they can then exercise it there and then jump into the site once they feel the Soniqs is set up is at a weak enough point to do so.
You hear that Nitro Cell beeping ominously there for Sync. Very smart one here as well, because if Grixer hears the audio crossing there, you travel so slow because you have to crouch through that little fireplace. So super smart position there from him. Try and use that to his advantage. Get a big pickup here. Nope, not a cap can trap. I have no cap cans in play. I'm always just so scared of explosions, you can tell. It's PTSD from this game. Nothing really going on here, minus the info game for DarkZero. Really looking to see how they're going to be able to abuse their verticality here going forward. They want to know the position of the Soniqs so they don't get too caught off guard, especially for the Monty's sake. This guy's going to get the hard breach down. He'll get the hatch open for them, and Nitro Cell already goes off for Grixer. It won't land. The last one's going to be in Citizen's hands. This is going to have to be a fast-acting round.
Indeed, as we are already down to that 30-second marker, DarkZero trying to pop open these top downs and hope to establish some kind of winning angle against a few of these players with the Soniqs, just like we saw from DZ back in the first half as well. More than ready to just fend this off entirely from the first floor. Skies forced to walk through a Toxic Babe, loses over half of his HP in the process, but Gaveni comes out strong with an opening kill. Citizen, though, the Trading King is always there to try and help things out, and then a dirty little pickup there against the Montane as well, now that Skies was left on his own on an island. Case down onto the ground, good trade comes in from Canadian. Panba also finding another one, so it's down to only 2 defenders, but here we go. The ace in the hole is Gunnar, does have the Echo, ready to bring out, immediately shut down the plant attempt, and give the round over to our defenders.
Now the last thing that you want to hear is that little zip to the ceiling at 0-0 after you just went for an execute with 30 seconds left. You see that grin on Lauren's face back there? That tells you just how well that round went. Fantastic from the Soniqs. They delayed just long enough. DarkZero falling to their own demise, really. That's kind of the crux of what we see DarkZero usually falter to when it comes to really heavy utility setups like this. Those last little layers there, they just don't have the time to deal with. Ends up biting them in the butt that time. So DarkZero will falter on the first one, but doesn't mean they can't gather it back for round 8.
Does not matter how many trades they got, does not matter how much map control they position themselves towards deeper into the kitchen with. If the Soniqs kept that Echo alive and safe into the late round, they pretty much had the win there, as we saw. So beautifully executed just on the strategy side of things from the Soniqs. Have a reliance in that utility to close out the round for them. In a pretty straightforward fashion, actually, at the end of the day. Usually there's like a really epic thing when we have the Echo drone go up, but it seems like it was really just all part of the plan at the end of the day for the Soniqs. So very, very well done for them to not get, first of all, that Echo drone spotted, and then to execute it perfectly in those dying moments of the round. DarkZero locking in their selections, just one repick here, and they don't really need the Habana and the hard breach that comes with it for this round. Instead, they'll bring the Buck for the secondary soft breaches. Certainly a lot more top-down angles to work with here, going up against a mining dining hold.
Really love the adaptations that we're seeing here from DarkZero. Keeping the soft breach in with the Buck, but also bringing the secondary hard breach in case they want to get the hatches open. Some counter angles, some nice flank watch as well available to you if you want to use those for some certain advantages around like the train position from Christmas and stuff like that. Always just keep that option available to you. For the rest of DarkZero's lineup, obviously, procured extremely well, as we're used to. Both of these teams have been very strong at bringing what they exactly want. Really, my only gripe was the sledge on Soniqs really not showing up too much, but able to try and work other advantages in because of that lack. So now for DarkZero, we go back into the info game here on Kafe, which is one that is quite grueling. We're all quite accustomed to. They're not going to have Dokkaebi or anything of the sort to try and help with the drone game. They're going to have Yana, so they'll have Gavini to try and assist infinitely, as long as that cooldown isn't obviously on. And JR's got, oh, I thought he was going to stun in there. Got a drone down. Nitro Cell. A little scary here. They're trying to get him to back off. Stun out, try and fight it. Citizen, he's going to crouch into it. And JR wins out this fight. Citizen's so confident with that prone angle. He gets gunned down by the ARX.
And JR's like the patient gunner throughout the entirety of this tournament so far. So many rounds that we've seen played out from him specifically where he just waits. He just sits in a single position and very patiently just sits there, waits for his opponent to make a mistake, and he's almost every single time rewarded with at least one kill, if not like 2 to 3 after that as well. So really good stuff from NJR there, just to show that level of patience here. And a very, very nerve-wracking game as it can be from time to time.
It's just so beautiful because of what they were talking about the analyst desk for him as well. They kind of moved him to a more patient position, and he looks deadly here. Really like what he's able to do, that more flex support role.
With 1 minute to go, DarkZero starting to inch their way closer to the site. Definitely still a bit of a ways to clear out, but with the extra kill in their pocket, give them that little bit of extra confidence. We actually still have 2 roamers down on the first floor. One is directly next to Whiskey Stairs, of course, but another one going to the depths of Kitchen. So potential for a late round flank to come out from that if they can position that player appropriately. But DZ need to make the move first here, as they are getting ready to potentially send themselves into this one. Certainly the other end of the train hatch does have Overwatch for that. Sitting here on the Maestro. No sign of that confident execute coming in just as of yet, and now they're going to watch the usual rotation points. Got him with a long spray, gets the job done, but leaves a wide window open for another member of DZ to trade it back out. And in fact, all the trades are found. It falls entirely onto Geo now. Has the bottom angle here, could win it out on utility yet again. Goes for the stinger, no! Panma has the cutoff instead from up on top. He shuts it down, and DZ take the round instead.
No, he would not have. So for the future, listen, this is where I want everybody. Troy is 90 holding above. Gab, you go Haldor.
Man, I absolutely love that conversation we just got to hear in on there. So cool to be able to hear those little tidbits of info. Canadian's not the only person that can IGL on that squad, and it clearly shows. You know, Alex for a long time being able to step into that role, most notably with SSG, right? And they played quite well for some time. So very cool to see him feel so confident. The rest of the squad able to position them, and they are playing extremely well at the current moment. Taking it to the Soniqs, using that last minute to its absolute fullest. A DarkZero last minute feels like 3.
Certainly does. Once again, they continue to run down the clock, even past that 20-second marker, really shaking the boots of the Soniqs to a certain extent there. Making them second guess themselves if they really have the read on things, but
you start calling it like the 1 minute drill. Like they call it the 2 minute drill in American football. You start calling it the 1 minute drill for Siege. Because DarkZero's 1 minute drill is fantastic.
So looking on top of itself for short. As we have the Soniqs rotating back over into the, I believe the library hold this time, and that's going to be the case So now DarkZero looks to clear out a much more stalwart extension onto the 3rd floor that'll be alive this time, mainly due to the help of those mirror windows and a few other utility set pieces. That should hopefully slow down DarkZero's capability to exfil these players from the 3rd floor and then give them access to the 2nd floor site, of course. Now, once again, DarkZero pretty much aware of where this was going to go. You could already hear some comms alluding to the fact they were going to try and push things out towards Hell. They'd have Gaveni in position there, but we'll see where that all leads to in about a minute or so. DarkZero is that much more slower lean team, so don't expect any hyper-aggression to come out for them in this first minute, as they hyper-focus instead on their drone work, and where specifically they need to be taking control of.
Yep, if it's going to happen all at once. Saw that quite a bit from the Soniqs as well. It's just really DarkZero finding those little moments where they could discover one-on-one positions, able to pick off Soniqs. Might be able to see something quite similar from the Soniqs if they're able to get it done via utility or weaponry. We'll have to see, but either way, an advantage is an advantage. That's exactly what they're looking for. They'll hear the position of Gaveni here as he positions himself on Heaven window right above Hell door. As Skies was talking about, have one down low. Pre-fire could come out a little scary there. Proper guess, and we could have a dead Gav. Nitro cell prepped out, and nothing. Rexing some damage on him via the frag grenade. Still plenty of time here for DarkZero as well.
Canadian with another nade, and this one is going to win it this time, but Geo has a response. Nitro from down below inside of Janitor cleans up Canadian instead, brings us still onto even numbers. DarkZero, yeah, they get one, but they're not really able to get away with it, especially now that Rexen claims a second pickup here from the inside of Cocktail. The hold itself still stays alive, and I'm not sure if DarkZero have the numbers necessarily to push him out any longer, so that might be a default round win from the Soniqs on that, but DarkZero still have a few tricks to try and deploy towards Skies. With the drop into red, can make one more bout to try and knock out Rexen and establish the positions that they absolutely need to get themselves into the site here. Smart Glass is going to pop out as well. It's going to be perfectly timed. Skies, they're just going to directly take the challenge. That's the one move that Rexen did not expect. Skies wins out that fight. Finally, we are on even terms, and DarkZero may have a hope yet of winning this one out.
This is going swimmingly for both teams. Well fought. DarkZero trying to get repositioned here. They got to try and discover what's going on site, but I don't think the drones are looking all that great. They have 2 active, but more than likely going to be set up on flanks or something along those lines. Cav does have the clones, but they're going right for it. They're going to send it right in. Minimal time remaining. They know one has to be in reading, but Citizen with some big shots from down low. And JR, he has to kill 3 here, and the position's too strong from the Soniqs. I think they've finally gotten it done on the mid-level, and JR, he chooses wrong. And honestly, I don't think he had even enough time to be able to sprint over to White in the first place. So, very well done from the Soniqs yet again to slow up DarkZero, get those big kills on their initial entries.
Slow pacing there with which they were able to take out the Warden with, I think it slows them down to too much of a degree, as we see plenty of time wasted out trying to suss his position, and only just ducking him down at around the 20-second mark removes that additional drone time that I'm sure they would have liked to have had to be able to push themselves into a better spot there and figure out where those final players down on the 2nd floor would have been positioned at. As a result of that, they're just forced into the setup as well from the Soniqs. And it makes it quite easy for the Soniqs, relatively easy, I guess you could say, for the Soniqs to shut that one down and get themselves a 4th. Not back into it just yet, still 1 round behind our attackers at this point. DarkZero losing that edge ever so slightly. They're going to be looking to try and claim these last 2 now, with the Soniqs sitting right on their tail the entire time.
All right, so Soniqs are going to be bringing in some traps. They've got the Goyo for delay as well as the smoke. Mute for taste. It's really up to you. Looks like we're going to be using these more than likely on some walls. Probably won't be too much drone denial, but that kind of just goes in hand, right? Sometimes some drones will just roll into those things. You never really know. But for DarkZero, looks like they want to process most of this map. They're going to be bringing the IQ. They were flirting with the sledge there for just a minute, but breaching charges will suffice. You know, you have 3 of those on NJR, 3 of those on Pamba as well. You can get hatch control and the redundancy in Pamba as well. And then on top of that, you have a good info here with Canadian and Gavini. So loving the op lineup here for DarkZero. See how they try and go about exploiting Kafe to its fullest for round 10.
As round 10 begins, DarkZero gives us another pretty straightforward look as far as their attacking lineup is concerned. The defense obviously modulating itself quite a bit, heavy on the delay as well as the trap trip-ups that are going to be showing up over the course of this round, mainly between Gunnar and Citizen, of course. But aside from that, no huge surprises for their end of things.
little surprise there, though.
Yep. Waiting out just, I think, on the right side of the mining room there. If a player steps across that, there is going to be a Nitro primed and ready to pop to hopefully give the Soniqs an opening early kill advantage.
See if that work its way in for mining. A little difficult to get yourself safe as well when you're using those breaching charges in comparison to the breaching hammer. You can stay actively moving with Sledge. That's one of the advantages of him. The breaching charges, you're stuck in that animation, and so the last thing you want to hear is that tape rip from down low. Canadian going to work his way in, not going to be favoring the PDW. A lot of people have been favoring that recently when it comes to their Jackal play, but he's going to the tried and true, John. He's going to C7E, and I respect a man with taste, okay? That's something that Canadian has quite a lot of. And JR and the rest of the boys are going to start breaking things down on the mid-floor. Still plenty of time. Need to try and get a big pickup here on one of these Soniqs members. This is where the drone game and the rest of this info game can get potentially some scans to the floor come in.
Gio setting up the Toxic Babe for safety so that he can also have a good amount of presence over here by Whiskey. Thankfully he'll have a teammate rotating his support that, so won't have to do the double takes behind him anymore, but may want to when you consider the amount of players from DZ that are moving into this part of the map. Gaveni's nade catches Gio somehow on the rotate, but does not get Citizen himself. Citizen still gets decked by Pan, but on the actual push forward though. So the entire extension over here towards Whiskey, as well as, of course, our VIP side is going to be taken down. Gunnar now popping open the canisters to try and delay things out a bit further. The second one being popped prematurely. Canadian and NJR ripping apart the defense irregardless, however. Leaves it all on Grixer now for the 1v5. Plenty of time as far as a 1v5 is concerned. Grixer not even with full realization of where the case is going down. It's another one. Flawless fashion from DarkZero, and it's going to set them up for their penultimate round.
I love you, Gaveni.
Get in the hole! Get in the hole! Get in the hole! Get!
Like Valkyrie or Maestro.
So I basically just called the timeout, see what you're doing. The main thing that I'm seeing is that we're letting them leave the time, but when it comes down to them actually executing on site, we're just dropping like flies. So it's either people need to like extend out further, or we need to just get absolutely crazy. But
I think we just
sitting there and like waiting for them to execute is
Really like that conversation there from Lauren. It's one or the other.
Like get a pick and sit on info the rest of the round.
We're gonna go mining here. They're gonna expect us to fucking play the C4. I'm gonna play the C4. I'm gonna get a Maestro.
Well, remember, they bring an IQ every single round, so relying on info like the Valkyrie and Echo rooms is not fine.
Let's get in here. We're gonna go mining here, and we're gonna what's it called? And we're gonna play C4 below. Okay. Have a fight. I'm just gonna spam Warden.
All right, probably the end of their pause time.
I need Warden for here.
Lauren's mic should be muted by now. We'll get ourselves back into the game here. See what exactly DarkZero's plan is to close things out in clean fashion. They've got two opportunities to do so, this round and the next. Otherwise, OT is activated on our very first map.
Really like what we were hearing from Goddess there, talking about what the Soniqs were kind of dealing with. Is they were kind of stuck in the in between the lines. Not too safe, not too aggressive. Playing to not lose in a sense. Lauren's like, hey, just either send it or don't. Either sit on site, make them take it, or get right in their face, take those gunfights, run through that smoke, do something crazy. We'll have to see what the Soniqs want to try and do. We got to hear part of that conversation. Not going to be playing the Nitro cell in a certain position like they were the last time. So we'll see if the Soniqs can try and find themselves a bold enough advantage to take this round away from DarkZero, who have looked quite dastardly. And honestly, working my way into this map, I was a little worried because, you know, DarkZero really haven't shown what they've been doing on Kafe for quite some time, and the Soniqs just recently played on this map. Now, they did win. It was up against the Wolves, and they played extremely well. Everybody with a pretty strong rating and some solid assistance, you know, everywhere inside of this squad. But that also gives that tape on over to DZ, which is one of the teams that is one of the best in the business when it comes to having some VOD on their squads.
Now as the Soniqs, of course, been trying to read into that hole throughout this entire game here. Their teams are, of course, going to gain the inherent advantage of having this footage to play into now. So the Soniqs may have potentially been bested by it. It's their first showing here at SI event. For DarkZero, though, things are continuing to move in incredibly slow fashion, as you've come to expect from them, wanting to certainly fully analyze things. And there we go. Good spot from Panma. Does get full confirmation onto at least one player. But oh, the leap from Rexon, the air jab as well. But there's no one else to support NJR there. So he's allowed to rip off the barricade and go right back inside of Heldor, keeping himself alive. Not a single point of damage taken. Beautifully done there by Rexon.
So I see they chose the ladder. That makes a lot of sense, honestly.
Ascend it.
Yeah. Well, when you have this much talent on a team, it's like it's like going to the Golden State Warriors and be like, don't shoot threes. Like, you know, like no, you shoot threes, Rexon. That's what you do. And he will achieve that. NJR goes down, air jab, doesn't matter. Able to get that shot floating. Nobody else there to support, as John was talking about. 10-5 though for NJR, heck of a game. But you could say the same about the rest of the squad, Canadian and Pambazoo. Both having a 2.0 KD as well, but this might start to dwindle soon enough. Pambazoo, do you see the nitro under you, Pambazoo? Oh, reaching charge?
I think he's trying to see it. He's like, what's that sound? Let me explore.
Well, they're going to assist him with the flooring a little bit and actually make him quite a cheeky angle there through the bar. So we'll see if that becomes any piece of this puzzle for the top floor attack from DarkZero. The sledge in play here for Canadian. It's breaking that up. Nitro Cell out there. Rexon almost delivers on that promise, but DarkZero not home.
Let's go pretty quiet, except for that one. Another nitro going off. That's all three of the ones sitting in the pocket of the Soniqs players. Only one of the three of those actually scoring a kill, but as far as the Soniqs are concerned, that's all right now, because they still have the player advantage, even with Skies' trade being considered there. He takes down Gunnar. 25 seconds to go, mind you. Most of the round time has transpired already. Gaveni with a position to leap right into it, and they certainly don't have Overwatch for him, but he doesn't know that yet, so he's going to walk right in here. Oh, nicely done. As he nearly has to do a double take. They're giving Rexon the time to spin back against him, and unbeknownst to him, also knocks off half the HP from Grixer here too. Nicely done, but Grixer is able to readjust. He picks up one. Citizen has already grabbed the second. Skies is all that remains. He cannot win the fight around the bomb chassis there. So a successful hold is claimed by the Soniqs. One more to go, and they're back in this in overtime.
Set the tone with the aggression. DarkZero can't work the map, given the man advantage. Soniqs with a big nitro cell kill through the floor. Makes him try and well, at least descend down the white stairs and get something going for Gaveni. A little difficult there for them in that regard. I love that DarkZero still tried to back up Gab on his play, able to get deep inside of reading there in a big pickup, but past that, really not too much to say from DarkZero about that round. Really only the positive boon being the top floor position that they were able to garner, but Soniqs quickly dispatching that with some nitro cells and other things.
The round gets started, and we are back down to the second floor yet again for the Soniqs. He's not going to be on mining, but we rotate ourselves over to the library hold instead here for them. So this is the site they can close out upon instead here. Already made things work, of course. Back in a very similar composition for the other dining room sites. They're just going to try to repeat the same exact thing. The only downside is the attackers are going to have a little bit more of a direct option to get themselves into the site list. They will have to be cognizant of that. DarkZero, though, already struggling to clear out the third floor, makes that second floor access a bit of a moot point, as if they can't get past that critical juncture, and they never really reach that potential hell execute. That's assuming they want to go for that in the first place.
Really curious what we're going to be using these EMPs for here from Pambazoo. Have to find out. If you have the mute jammers, Gunner's going to be going for the old classic on Kafe. See what works out for him. You're going to listen for NJR to get off this rappel. As soon as you hear that rappel rope go dink at the top, that nitro cell should be out of that hatch. Let's find out. Oh, drone's up first. They're too smart. Gunner's like, yeah, I'm just going to leave. DarkZero is crossing every box on Kafe. That is, which they should be, but like, that is the most try-hard way. I'm telling you, that's fantastic stuff from DZ. Those are the little simple things that people mess up. They had the call sign the last time from Rexon and that aggressive play off of Heaven Balcony, so they definitely now know what is going on with Soniqs. They want to get aggressive, they want to get these picks early.
Rexon being found out for the second time here now as he's forced back a little bit further into the depths of Cocktail there. Grixer's position still needs to be reconfirmed, but a phone call is probably going to help out with that if they have any players over Skylight. Should have been able to hear that. Mirror window is going to get popped too, as they need the direct angle to play out against the red clear. Another member of the team was trying to push themselves up red. Seems as though at least Geo, not being the player we were just looking at a second ago, is going to end up getting caught here. He goes down. Now it's an advantage to DZ, but can they hold on and capture that to give them their 7th round?
Logic bomb in. Answer it with the finger. Modern problems require modern solutions. Rexon gets it done with some lead. He's gonna have to answer his phone call. He's got another one on the line, and it's not gonna find too much. DarkZero will, though, and it's gonna be a trade back and forth. Nobody should be able to get Gunner back up, so it should effectively be a 3 versus 3. 2 of these players down here. Might be a pickup here. Yep, Skies will get that all washed off. So the top floor now effectively in control of DarkZero and NitroCell. I miscalculated. We didn't see him. We didn't even see him. Grixer gets 2 kills. He slips through everybody's radar. Inside of Freezer, Canadian, no more logic bombs to try and assist him. It really would have helped his teammates if he had. Soniqs, he might have done it. Grixer, huge play here, so low HP, but it doesn't matter now. He's practically forced this overtime single-handedly just by residing inside of Freezer quietly.
Beautifully played by Grixer, gives a second life now to the Soniqs roster. Potentially still save this map and leave them in a good position to set up for a potential 2-0 in the series as well. And indeed, that opportunity they will have. Grixer seals the deal with his Nitro cell. We're trying to see used out a lot earlier on in the round. They're finally getting an opportunity to chuck it. It sings and will activate round 13. So we need 2 more rather, from each team to be able to figure out a winner.
And Goddess has been crazy with these timeouts. Every time she uses one of these things, it seems like she's got a perfect record.
I got you up this time.
Amazing comeback there from the Soniqs. They find themselves a little soul searching there from that tack pause. They up the ante, up the aggression, up their willingness as well. Fantastic play there from Grixer once again. I just cannot believe that he was able to work his way into Freezer there. Not a single soul even knew. No drone work, no nothing when it came down to it. DarkZero, known for their info game, but that one definitely a round that they're going to wonder about.
Well, it's a first floor hold from DZ. So we'll see them bring no crazy utility operators here. It's a fairly standard hold at the end of the day, actually. Just the mute to deny intel. The Warden to play hero on the inside of the site and against the flash dump. The smokes, of course, from Canadian to try and delay things out and then give any just using the intel operator here. But as God is mentioned in the pause, they're obviously it's for the opposite team now, so point still stands either way. The IQ is being played out at the moment here by the Soniqs and was being used similarly by DarkZero. That means that the intel that comes from those Valkyrie cams, you can't necessarily rely on it, as you can't guarantee that they're going to be there in the pivotal moment you need them anymore. But the fact that you have an operator that is specifically meant to hunt those things out.
All right, well, into overtime we go. Soniqs will be starting things off on the offensive side. Defense for DZ, so back in their favored position. Both these teams neck and neck so far, but to be expected. I saw this team on the docket for us, John. I was like, yep, that's going to use effectively every round, isn't it? And so far, so good. We'll see if we use all 15. Would definitely not surprise me. And have Grixer move his way in on top red. Soniqs looking to descend the whole building. Try and press back DarkZero's roam game if they do have one, but as of right now, not looking as such. It's going to be the horizontal play as we have been seeing from them, so positioning over in Whiskey as well as VIP. We'll have NJR inside of Bakery. Canadian over in coat check for that cross angle. Soniqs more than likely will know a fair amount of this. Is this quite common play rather, not only for DarkZero but for quite a few squads. So we'll see how Soniqs try and use their positioning here at a minute 40.
They're going to go very quiet for the most part. Soniqs just try to set themselves up. Not going to be able to find out anything down below them too much. So continue to see DZ move away from those openings, get themselves out of the hot zone. Except for Skies, he wants to challenge it directly here. Gotta be careful of that one, of course, forcing himself to reposition after he goes for those swings. It may just lead him into another one from the Soniqs, another setup that is. So Skies with an opportunity though to really make some impact here.
Found the bunker buster.
As we do have that Maestro starting to work his way forward. Sky's on the other end of it, but he reveals himself too early on. And like I said, those top downs still a bit of a menace towards him here. He is pushed out into a corner. Still wants to stay here for that potential Nitro Cell play. But the Montaigne as well does not want to commit as a result of that one. NJR completely removing Sky's play potential here now though. Unfortunately, he's going to be boxed out, but ooh, still keeping himself in it for a few extra seconds. NJR now is the one that, to correct myself, is going to be found out as Grixer takes him down. And we are into a 4v4. Could nearly be a 4v3 as well with how low Skies is, but the way he's keeping himself in the game, he's certainly going to find that full impact. And no, Gio losing half of his own HP as he drops down, moves forward, still cannot get away from Skies here. It's the duel that seems destined to happen when everything is going to be said and done. So neither player can really do anything until someone else takes the next step.
Deadlocked, dead heat between these two teams. Gunnar throws himself into Freezer. The plant going now down for Gio. Big Nitro Cell will stop it though. Rexon with a big kill. He has to try and get this case under control, but he can't. DarkZero perfectly timed with that Nitro to take out the Monty.
We've been waiting months. Get in the hole.
Chop down the mountain at the knees.
Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Get in there. Get in the hole. Get in the hole.
If I'm not mistaken, I do believe that this is a Happy Gilmore quote.
It is. Yeah.
Don't you just want to go to your home? Just get in the hole. Just get in the hole. So Nitro Cell did. It slipped right through there.
Yeah. DarkZero now in pole position yet again, but now needing to close it down. Otherwise, there'll be no escaping their opponents any further here. It's do or die time, this round or the next. We've got to see that second one closed out upon, and they're back on the attack to attempt to do it. That does mean Soniqs, of course, go back to, theoretically, their best site so far inside of this map. That will be mining and dining that they'll choose to go over towards here. Capcan's going to be brought back in order to assist with that block-off access to some of these doorways. Big emphasis on the drone intel denial, though, between the Mozzie and Mute split. Gunnar as well wanting to reinforce potentially some of the hatch play by bringing the Cade into this one.
Might see the Thatcher finally come out here from DarkZero. We saw it worked in once, but the EMP is not really going to be all that useful for the utility that was being brought from the Soniqs. They didn't need a key for any of the hard breach that they could have potentially have wanted, but also other advantages coming in with those EMPs, and not just trying to break walls and other things. You can also use them to stop any electronic utilities. So positive thing there. Regardless, DarkZero not going to work it into this lineup here. No secondary EMPs either. Actually, scratch that. NJR did actually bring those in on the Lions, so very well done from DarkZero. As those Electro Claws going to mean quite a bit to the hatch play on this top floor.
And so as DZ begin to clear out the map. I see them very actually quickly swing up towards the second floor. This might be a bit of a rush play potentially if Skies can justify it right
Oh, they're going to skeleton key right in through the side of this.
They've got it open, so here we go. Skies in position to make it work. He'll force himself through, ends up running into a Capcan barricade there. As a result of that, once he loses half his HP, Grixer fends off both of the challenges from Red. So a potential misplay here from DarkZero as they end up losing both of them. Thought they had what they needed to be able to force their way into the site and gun their way through it, but those Capcan traps, along with the lack of team support from anywhere else here, like Whiskey, the position currently being played by Panba, sends this strategy right into the toilet. As now they're going to be down 3v4 here, trying to come back at some later point into it. Oh, they might be able to do it. Nicely done. The cross and the flash establishes a completely blind Gunnar to go down to Canadian here and re-equalizes us to a 3v3. DarkZero may have made some missteps with that play up on top of Red, but at least they're not out of this round completely just yet.
I mean, how wild of a team does it take in order to try and manage a situation like that? Grixer guns down 2 people on the entry, and they still somehow get it down into a 3 versus 3. 2-man advantage from the Soniqs squandered. Although Citizen, he feels like he knows someone's downstairs. Throws that Nitro Cell. I believe he's got a drone at his disposal, so he might be able to check this out as well. Canadian's going to begin to ascend. He knows. Did you hear that drone? Oh, the Finka. Ready for the challenge. Nitro Cell out. Pambazoo's got to head for the hills. He'll get away. Maybe kept that tape in his pocket. Yep. Citizen going to reapply. Still have 3 Nitro Cells for the dying minute.
I see things go quiet for a moment as NJR pushes himself forward. Nicely done. Just barely gets the head off of Grixer to take him down. Citizen responds, though. Has always been there for the trades. Refuses to go down without a fight. Whether it's in the site or on his own little adventure, he always stays in it for at least one more. We'll see if he can go even further than that. He's tied up right now 9-9 on his overall kill-death ratio. Panba Canadian challenging him with a little bit more prowess to show in that department here, but no real way to get themselves and stop this platform going down, at least not initially. They're going to try to play it on the pinch instead. Canadians aware of this, establishing Overwatch over by pillars. And now as Panba moves himself forward here as well. There we go. He strikes true after getting that plant down on the ground. Gio seemingly had to trade for free, but can't control the SMG-11 spray. He's given away his position now. His other opponent establishing a top down against him. The peak is out. He's down low, but gets a response out there. Here's the issue, however. Canadian well set up here to try and counteract the direct rush play. And of course, an easy top down to counter the outright counter defuse attempt. Geo goes for it. Nearly may have actually had it had he stuck it on the initial attempt here, but got off of it for a completely valid safety reason. And now Canadian as well moves forward to get that nearly guaranteed kill we talked about a moment ago. That'll seal the deal on the map. And they take the 1-0 lead in the series with it.
Amazing map from DarkZero. They take Soniqs to the map that they beat the Wolves on, and they beat them at their game. It takes overtime, but they get it done. We're going to send you to a break. We'll be right back with Border.
No, that's fine. We just got to relax for the minute.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
again, ladies and gentlemen, time to get ready for map number 2 of this series. DarkZero able to lock things down on map pick number 1. But now we get ready to head over towards Border for our second map, and we will have to see if the Soniqs can rebound in a little bit more of a chaotic environment, one that they specifically chose to pick into. For those who missed the first map, or those who didn't get to see the stats, here they are. As you have Canadian topping things out there, at least in the cost and KD department, at 86% and 11 and 7 respectively. Best overall KD, that goes to Panama though at 12 and 7, but we've got plenty of other players sitting nice and close to that scoreline, contending pretty closely as well. Canadian also topping out the entry charts. They're 2 at 3-0 compared to NJR at 4 and 2.
Nicely done there, and also little fun information past that. You know, we had a lot of fun on Kafe, John, but we now get to move things on over to Border, start talking about this. This is actually going to be Soniqs map pick moving into this, and I really like this map pick, actually, because the 2 times that DarkZero have played it at this tournament, they've lost. They lost it to Heroic, and they also lost it to FaZe Clan, so we'll see what they can potentially get done. They have 2 under their belt, both an L, not trying to go for the trio, but the Soniqs, if they've got something to say about it, looks like we're going to full 3.
It is important to note, of course, that this is a team that theoretically DarkZero should be much more aware of their play style on this map. They scrim against them more, they play in the same region as them, so you would assume that they would have a little bit more of an advanced intel in terms of how to play against this team specifically, but it is SI after all. That is the time when teams tend to bring out the newest stuff, so that could be a very incorrect assessment at the end of the day. Here's our head-to-head comparison. Once again, looking at Citizen as well as NJR. Both players I think have been performing fantastically so far at this event, and that's reflected in the stats here. NJR is doing a little bit better in some specific areas compared to Citizen at the moment.
Yes, indeed. I don't think that Citizen's been in NA long enough to be a part of one of NA's pizza scrim parties, so we'll see if that potentially comes true later on down the line. It looks like so much fun whenever they do one of those. I think they had Astralis out the last time. A couple of other squads have been there before, but the DZ compound, definitely a pretty cool place, huh?
Absolutely. I've been there for at least one pool party. Like 2 years ago. I think it was like 4th of July or something like that.
Oh, that's sick.
It's fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you know what else is pretty awesome, John?
What?
Esports. And that's why we're going to go cast this game right now. Border is up next for us. So we jump in here between the Soniqs and DarkZero. Get in this ban phase, see what we got going on. DarkZero leads us right now in this series 1-0. For those of you that are just joining us, that last map did take overtime as DZ settled it 8-6. Flores is going to be our very first ban to start things off. DZ on offense, Soniqs on defense. Let's get this ball rolling.
All right, getting into it now. We do have Nook as our second ban coming out here. Flores is the first one, so pretty much a repeat of what we got back in map number 1 there. I would imagine our defensive bans are going to be pretty much the same exact thing here. So we will continue to see that be deployed out. Indeed, it's going to be the case. Zombie, once again, just 2 individually useful, 2 individually potent, especially on this map. You got areas like security and whatnot where she can go absolutely crazy if she's set up appropriately for it. And then Valkyrie as well. That doesn't mean we're going to leave the Solus, and Valkyrie, I can imagine, being a little bit more useful for this map specifically, even with the IQ counter picks starting to come in quite a bit this tournament. So that means, however, Solus will be allowed out, and could be a potential problem for the drone game of both teams, as I imagine she's going to be used quite a bit, and we can immediately get confirmation on that. Gunnar just going for the quick lock on her.
What a terrible combination of characters. Pulse and Solus, that's just so mean.
Yeah. They can see you, and they can see your gadgets.
It feels so gross, John. Why is that allowed? Ugh. It's like, this needs to be like a banned card. You know, just put it on the restricted list. Oh my goodness. We'll see how Soniqs can, you know, make this comp work. I think that this is going to be a really solid addition to the way that you can play Border. Border's a really small map, and with small maps, especially multi-level small maps like we have with Border and stuff like that, where there's a lot of soft destruction in between the levels, Pulse already a really good op, Solus already a good app. You match those 2 together, you got a lot of info game. The other squad, not so much. So, could definitely mean that DarkZero are walking in blind for this. Potentially see what they can get done. I'm excited to see what the drone game is going to look like. That's the big thing here. Looks like they've already potentially lost 1, but no, that thing, little initial numbers that show inside of the prep phase are usually wrong. So looks like we've only lost 1 instead of 2 drones there. Now we've lost a couple. So now down to, or rather effectively now using more. Apologies about that. So we do still just have 1 drone down. So 9 drones in play for DZ on this offense.
See just that upstairs pressure beginning to burrow in from DarkZero. They want to take South Main control and move themselves past that point. Gaveni at the threshold over here by South right window balcony. Not with the confidence to actually jump in and move it forward as of yet, but over here on the outside window, waiting it out. Citizen trying to see if he can scout it, but just out of range for a few of these players. So he'll be all clear for the time being, but as he calls it in the same fashion, that's not the big question. Is he knew he had pressure here just a few moments ago. Trying to look out for it more directly as DZ once again takes the slow approach to this one. Drone starting to move itself a little bit closer to Citizen's portion of the map as well to suss him out, but not confident enough for Gaveni to go for the outright swing just yet. A whole lot of nothing here inside of the first minute of play as DZ wind up for something a bit bigger in the next minute or so.
Speaking of big, it's Big Ben on the prowl. Works his way across. Luckily, nobody outside. Intelligently shoots the right-hand side of that panel there, making it to where he can actually hop in. Didn't want to go for the second punch. Apply those lead bullets, make it a little bit easier for himself. Move his way back downstairs. DarkZero hasn't really pushed themselves into the building all that much just yet. Trying to work it from the outside angles, use some of these window plays as well as these bounces off of the skylight. Trying dislodge the position inside of the suicide area. Pambazoo now works his way in towards 90, takes down one. Not a single soul aware, although there is so much utility at the Soniqs' disposal to find this out. Be able to trade that, though, as the Metal Stairs player will come through. It'll be Gunner.
Down to that final minute now. DarkZero, unfortunately, not that much closer to the actual execute as of yet, but starting to burn out some of the supporting walls for these positions. That could push it over the edge. As Gio sits on the inside of office and patiently waits this one out. Skies and a lot of fire coming in against our player, trying to hold over here on the inside of Custom. Skies will eventually battle him out, but has too much time been wasted in the process of killing this one player on an off-site position. Doesn't look like it here. Now the trade starting to roll through a bit more convincingly, but Grixer still with a bunker established on the inside of lockers. Takes down Gaveni, locks us into another 2v2. DarkZero are split up. No confidence really to go for this one, but still gonna try and pinch things out on the inside, and it may work too. Archives offense gets found out. Canadian now trying to work things against Grixer, but Grixer gets it all done on his lonesome instead. The Soniqs claim round number one.
Fantastic patience from the Soniqs, not overplaying their hand. Grixer once again so very clutch. It seems to be the constant thorn in the side of DarkZero. Grixer, big kills for him inside of this to start it off here. Set a tone, set a pace for Border. And they'll pick up the very first round. DarkZero back to the drawing board here after a pretty successful clear that was thwarted by the site play.
Round two will take us down over here into Tellers for Soniqs' next site choice. Not feeling the usual pick of Ventilation, finding a bit more effectiveness potentially out of this position, and I believe the stats potentially align with that as well, so a good choice looking towards that one if it is going to align with their thoughts on how this map has been playing out so far at this tournament too. DarkZero, once again, going to be bringing a fairly straightforward flair to their attacking line. Just a few change-ups. They'll add a secondary hard breach. This one, they don't need the double soft breach, it would appear, but it's all still shifting a bit, so we'll hold our breath for a moment as it ends up coming back. The blitz, oh, Gaveni was thinking about it there for a second, but ends up back on normal territory once the actual lock-in period has subsided, as he will just go for the Thatcher instead.
Well, it's a tried and true, right? Makes sense. Always lean on those kind of things when situations start to get hot. Just kind of lukewarm right now for DarkZero, losing that first round. Really just want to get the ball rolling. Want to make sure that they're starting to find some success here before it starts to become an issue. Failure to deliver, failure to launch here. I mean, Soniqs pulling us all the way to Clubhouse. Map the DarkZero and Canadian, a lot of history on, but the same for the Soniqs, one of the best when it comes to North America on that map, and it would surely be a firefight, one that I really am looking forward to if we do get that far. DarkZero once again going to be starting things on the outside balconies, looking to get this drone game going, discover themselves a gunner when it comes to the half wall position. We're inside of Armory. DarkZero, once again, not going to push themselves too far. Grixer with some fantastic discovery of his own when it comes to the Solus play.
DarkZero now ready to move themselves forward to at least start taking some lockers control for themselves. They will be attempting to dump the utility to push out any office presence pretty quickly, and indeed, they'll succeed in doing so. Soniqs will not really be too keen on directly contesting against this. They'll be sitting back, waiting in those office positions where they do have the hard wall to be braced to get in the way of that one. Gunnar with a nice little sneak here. Gets in, I believe, from Beepers. Was able to find Panba, take him down before descending once again. Keep in mind, like I said before, Grixer, at least one other member of this team, I believe, still in the area, but slowly getting pinched out. They do finally give up those upstairs positions. Oh, I correct myself. There is still one more player in this area. It's like as well, so one more sticking around, trying to waste some time out, trying to waste out potential execute options for DarkZero, as it'll be Rexen sitting here in this very pivotal position now.
Breaching round out for NJR. Got the wall open. Trying to influence the positions around office. They have one Soniqs member to worry about. He's prone under the radio window, and this could catch NJR off guard. Not a very common position. Rexen, he's looking for it. He's ready. No one goes well with a frost mat, a human frost mats! Rexen! How? Why? DarkZero, please! Amazing from Rexen! What a moment! All on radio window. A comms check needed for DarkZero there as they are dealt with. Rexen, what was that? You have never seen a play like that in your life. DarkZero completely caught off guard by him just prone, waiting for their arrival in office.
The mist drone absolutely seals the deal for Rexen here to give us a lights-out play to single-handedly shut things down here for the defense and give them another winning round. To still lead 2-0 over DZ's scoreline right now. It's going to move right along as far as the defense is concerned. Then over to Vents for our third and more likely final site this team will play into, doubling down on the trap play for this one as well, with Rexen, of course, with the Frost Mats. And now the Capcan EDDs are going to roll out from Citizen 2.
I have never been more flabbergasted than Habana losing that gunfight. I really thought Rexen was dead there. Dead to rights, really.
You think he would have been like found out completely, and that was the cause of so much delay too, that they were just trying to figure out a way to force him into the open and get an easy kill onto him, but no, they just completely weren't aware of him in the first place.
We make this whole conversation, this entire point, during this game about DarkZero, their info game, how they're so solid on it. Make kind of a misstep in Kafe, right? And then the second round here, DarkZero completely off the reservation. Smaller map too, but they still don't check radio.
No, they do not. It's a fatal mistake that pretty much single-handedly costs them the round. Soniqs, of course, more than happy about that. They have a real good chance to potentially go for the straight 3-0 lead at the beginning of this matchup now. Certainly would help to bring them back into it too, as they are up against the wall as far as this series is concerned. Such a promising group stage from the Soniqs. Would be a bit unfortunate to see their upper bracket run ending on quite literally day number 1 of said bracket to the hands of DarkZero too. So we'll see if they can rebound here, continue on the warpath, and lean us towards that third map on Clubhouse. Potentially save themselves. DarkZero wants it just as much though. They're going to quickly wipe off the very unfortunate outcome of that previous round and focus up for another one here.
All right, DarkZero, get in the hole. We need a round here on this offensive side. Can't be a full site rotation here from the Soniqs. Cannot be allowed. Set it off by Gavini here. No damage back and forth between these two. DarkZero getting some positioning around the eastern front. Lots of Soniqs members reside on this top floor, though. Grixer playing solos over inside of Customs. Most of Soniqs trying to battle out of this box here. DarkZero wrapping themselves around that top floor balcony. Still have Gavini clearing a lot of these angles up. Clearing up a lot of these door frames as well. Aware that the Capcan's in play, so the rest of the squad will obviously know too. These windows and walls open. Start making some new lines of sight for DarkZero. They do obviously have to attack into the basement, so really just trying to abuse this top floor for the soft destruction. Soniqs have backed themselves off. Gunner's gonna be the first one to fall down. Will Rexen follow it up? He will. Gonna try and back off of this. Almost an ill-advised angle. Spamazoo was waiting in the wings.
Pan with the slow push forwards here. Trying to see if you can win out the duel versus Gunnar. A little bit more of a dash from Citizen forward too. He tries to chuck the Nitro out. Won't be able to line up a successful pick so early on, but for Gaveni and the rest of DZ, they are being slowed down because of these top-down fights that they're being baited into. Constant fight being deployed by the Soniqs towards that hatch, and it's all to their happiness as well. Geo getting the Nitro out, finally catches one member of DZ moving up above, will take them down with the Nitro. Oh, the Goomba stomp in the meanwhile from Panda though. Drops on top of Geo's head, but can't go any further because the Soniqs are playing such an active defense right now. Just throwing themselves at the pushes from DZ. They've kept themselves one step ahead yet again.
Rexen rocking a hard place, but he's making it work. Battling back, runs into the position, and JR gets taken down. Skies have to get something done here. So little time has the case, but it doesn't matter. The Soniqs constantly forcing DarkZero onto their back foot. It's going to be a tack timeout now for DZ to try and figure this out.
Yep. We're telling them it's a new attacks. Our pacing is actually really good in the beginning. Remember, we're buying ourselves time. These guys are not room. Okay, they don't want to fight us. So we get the top. After we get the top, we just need to focus on the end game. We're missing like end game spots, like ready window. We're just not turning a vent. If we have to do that pick again, vent's the first thing cleared. That's why we're front door. You can't leave. Vent's first thing cleared. Then top down. Go fucking. We're chopping like safe. I went there. With the first C4. Yep, all good. It's probably gonna be armory again, so yeah, we're just locking. Last time it's just a 1v1. Yep.
So not too much worry from the captain there. Coach Mint, the rest of the gang, Canadian. See what DarkZero can get done here. Some endgame positions lacking is what Mint talks about. A couple of the tidbits early on. Soniqs not really wanting to fight is what he says. I'd say it's mostly just positional advantage that Soniqs is looking for, as they're letting DarkZero have a decent portion of the map like we saw in that previous round. And some of those positions from DZ are being adopted. You know, one of the end-game positions that he's talking about for vents happens to be upstairs next to half wall through the soft destruction there. But they had a huge issue with Rexen when he's in practically a kill box. You know, if you have proper soft destruction on that top floor, then Rexen more than likely a dead man just laying prone inside of vents. But obviously not the case. He fights out of it. Not only that, he kills the window player. So I think that it's more that DarkZero might need to search a little bit harder in some of these positions to try and suss out the Soniqs. See if Soniqs try and get more aggressive here. Once again, you heard DarkZero talking about some of the advantages they could take, you know, in that earlier into the round. So we'll see how they attempt to work round 4.
Slow rolls yet again for DZ, as they are not going to be able to build themselves up towards anything fantastical inside of these first few seconds. We are back upstairs after all, so it is going to take work regardless of how they'd want to play this. And drone work it will be to start things out here. Do have that soft panel opening going into jail, so there's an option to take some lower map control for them. But I believe they have their eyes on a much bigger prize over here towards security and a few other key parts of the map. We are going to see a few rotation setups from the Soniqs, much more heavily deployed for them though, to the inside of office, it looks like. They will have the mirror window set up there going to the back of radio, and a few other players supporting things from the fountain side too.
Solid drones here for DarkZero so far. Nobody able to try and attack just yet. Rexen looking for more an aggressive swing from the basis of the office. Nothing really doing right now for Soniqs though. Still awaiting DarkZero. Oh, although talked about a little bit of aggression that they could use, haven't pushed it just yet. Well within the right to do so at a moment's notice. A nade out over towards CCTV, doesn't find much. Geo's been able to play safely inside of Suicide for some time. He's got a mirror window here as well. Finally, Gunnar will pick up one. DarkZero stunted, it seems, again. Nitro so ready for Gunnar. He's going to line this up. This might fly out right on the radio window. NJR is going to break down the castle barricade, which I think he's waiting for. Looks like he might be waiting on the hop instead. Geo there with a big kill, and Rexen to take one down. Some nice trades going back and forth now.
Rexen with the shots rang out. gives his team back the initiation advantage. DarkZero can no longer throw a player away just for the sake of getting map control. Instead, they'll need to get it out right, but unfortunately won't be able to find it from Pamba's POV. He just goes 1 for 1. Fountain is dealt with, but you still have Archive's Office, as well as the full breadth of the Lockers play. Potentially try and detach here. You can see Skies as well as tried to open things up with the X-Kairos. It's been a messy job at best there, trying to open those angles into Fountain to support his teammates' push. One that is now a moot point for the reasons I stated previously. Citizen inching at the opportunity to go for a swing, but given where they're at in the round, smart to hold things back here. Dude, how low this is going to be brought down now. Gunnar seals the deal on Canadian, brings it all onto Skies now for the 1v3. He's going to try to make a clutch attempt out. Has that intel at Citizen, but beyond that, it's a guessing game at best for him to try and clutch this one down. And with the time now, giving us the warning there, you heard the announcer talk about it, and it's going to take us very quickly to the end of the round. Soniqs still in control, 4-0.
Prim and proper from the Soniqs has been one of the fastest borders we've seen this entire tournament so far.
Well, in terms of score count, yeah.
Yes. If you're talking about pacing wise, obviously not, John. It's DarkZero. Okay. All right. That is fair. They're like one of those eco diesels.
Wait till we get to the next half.
You know, they just go for a really, really long time. That's just how it works.
I have one of those.
You do, actually.
You know, it doesn't really start getting fast until you get in the third gear. I think once we get to the second half here, I think it's when we speed things up a little bit, if that's how this metaphor works.
Yeah, I need to slop some NOS on DarkZero's car here or something. I don't really
Put some fuel additive in, that might speed it up a little bit.
Get the def in.
Yeah.
Make sure you got that diesel exhaust fluid. Well, we'll see what's going on here for DarkZero. They don't have attack timeout anymore, so they're kind of floating up the creek without a paddle. A little worrisome here for them. They're going to adopt the Thatcher and kind of going bare bones. Very basic R6 operator lineup coming in here. Going to go for the double hard breach, Yana and Buck. Actually going to switch out the Thatcher rather, for the Ash instead. But of a soft breach play here as they did drop that sledge, so definitely think that's a solid adaptation. Haven't been seeing a lot of people use the R4C this tournament either. We saw a little sprinkle of it at Yongshiping, but everybody leaning back into the G36C. Most notably probably because of the extended barrel also getting worked in with its recent changes. So
things will slow down yet again here as DarkZero try to wind themselves up for another swing into the depths of border. Unsuccessful 4 times in a row. Soniqs so far ace with this map pick. Have been able to set themselves up for victory more times than not, obviously. And on top of that, have come out even inside of the clutch quite a few times too. For DarkZero, this is just, to some extent, a bit of a claustrophobic map for them to work their far-reaching strategies on, and that's creating some very serious problems for them in the first half. Some that may be insurmountable, given where the scoreline could realistically end up at halftime now. And assuming, of course, the Soniqs will also be able to continue the same level of play on the attacking side.
aggressive play here from Gaveni. He's got the angle for suicide. Shots in, but the computer eats up most of them. A bullet sponge. Rexon takes down Gav. Some nice shots from him. Rexon low on HP now on Pamba with the chance to deliver. Nitro Cell, a rather frag grenade out. We'll be able to take him down. Trades back and forth ensue, but DarkZero still fighting from the downward position. Or rather, actually, it's tied up. Thought Soniqs was up a man, but no, definitely not the case. Gunner's gonna shift across. Skies knows this has to come. Swing through, and unfortunate for Gunner. He's right on top of that desk. Pambazoo with a nice kill here as well. Finally, DarkZero getting some semblance of control over a round.
Indeed, as finally they're able to battle back against some of those early gunplay. Not able to allow the Soniqs members to escape deeper into their site setup. Finally, we may have a real winner being set up overall here for our DarkZero attacking side. Gio left alone now inside of the 1v3. Certainly workable for him, but it's going to be tough given the amount of time still left for DZ. The way that they generally play things, already figuring out Gio's position. He's been forced back. The top down nearly getting him there. Moves out from it, brings it down to 2, but the cross from Panda as he hard commits now with the hop down. See here on the replay one final time, but that will seal the deal for them. So they are able to take that full control and finally put themselves on the board. Hating to try to hype things up a little bit here too. It's a little solemn on the DarkZero side given the previous 4 rounds of play, but finally they got a bit of a reason to be happy.
It's a touch bleak, but they got a round under their belt. Something to dance about. See if DarkZero can try and pick up the last round available to them on this offensive side. It was kind of a poor start for them on that round, but quickly swept under the rug by the remaining members of DarkZero as they were able to deliver on the original members' promises in a lot of different positions, especially around the office space upstairs. Soniqs starting to lose way too many bodies in the refrags, for once not coming through. So looks like DarkZero able to finally get their foot on the gas. See just how long this car can go. Looks like we are going to be defending vents. Soniqs going to obviously have to apply things towards the top level. How the Lasercade's working their way in from Citizen. He's been back and forth on these weapons throughout this tournament, as have quite a few people when it comes to the primary of Aruni. So excited to see if he's got the EBR, potentially has the Roni. As for the rest of the squad, making quite a bit of sense. Got that Solus still working their way in. And the TCSG as well on the Kaid. So lots of fun things to be had for the Soniqs.
And as the Soniqs will prepare themselves for one final brunt from the DarkZero attacking side, it is going to be a very similar layout to what we've already been seeing. Doubling down on the hold on the inside of the office. Not really going to be a big extension over here towards security. Not much of a reason to for this side hold specifically. Instead, it will be downstairs played out over on the inside of customs to try and delay things should DarkZero try to push things from jail. It is where we saw at least a breach being made on previous attempts here. As far as you can tell, it has been reinforced, so a little bit more difficult to make that work, as the early clear focus once again is on this upstairs hold, as it's caused so many problems already for DarkZero in this half.
Patience early here from DarkZero. You know what happened to him earlier with the radio play from Rexon. Want to make sure they understand the positioning of this beast before they try and attack it. Citizen going to fall off from suicide. Not going to be the teller side, just to remember. These hatches not meaning all that much. Doesn't mean they can transition down and get that counter angle for the site, but not going to be the plant. Won't be the overwatch, but it will be a kill for Pamba as he cleans up the top floor. Do we have one more member around in that space? 3 up top, and it's going to be Gunner. He's still inside a fountain. This little counter area here, but the drones are active from DarkZero. You have to worry for him. In rolls 2. Yeah, they're definitely going to find him at the back of fountain, maybe? Did NJR look? A run out. They didn't see him. Gunner gets by Pambazoo. Once again, DarkZero, what is happening with the drone game?
Just not catching these tiny little hiding spots the Tonics have been able to.
I have so much faith, too. You can hear it. Like.
I think they'd be reading into this one, especially after that critical blunder was made. About 4 to 5 rounds back. Still running into it, unfortunately. This time, only costing them a single trade for now, but we'll have to see the ringing effects that we'll have on the rest of the execute here as DarkZero now reshaping themselves around this due to losing Panva.
Yeah, there's something ringing. It's DarkZero's head after getting bunted. Once again, a blunt object, a force trauma. Skyros down, clear up the frost mats. DarkZero still have an opportunity to look for a plant. It is a 4 versus 4. This isn't not doable. They have the skeleton key as well as some other tidbits to try and clean up around the site. No explosives though, minus the breaching rounds of NJR. Impacts and yet another angle being adopted from the Soniqs. Gunner will rotate his way in towards vents. Going to position himself very similar to what we saw from Rex and the last time that they were in this position. Skies will get taken down. Gunner's going to swing, and so far so good from the Soniqs. A 2 versus 1, a drop in on top of the case for Canadian. He can't find the player, tries to sprint out. Grixer will find him instead via Canadian. Funny how that works out. And the Soniqs will take a 5-1 half.
So one little bump in the middle of this half for the Soniqs, but otherwise it's pretty much perfect for them. 5-1 now is the scoreline. 2 out of the next 6 rounds just need to be claimed by them. And they'll be able to lock things in for a second map. First for them personally inside of this series. That will also ignite us right over in the Clubhouse, where we'll have to see the final battle transpire between these teams.
I just straight up cannot fathom that DarkZero is having issues with their info game on such a small map right now. It's befuddling me for how solid of a squad they are when it usually comes to that. But just didn't really have it when it came to this offensive side. They have to put quite a few rounds together to try and win this out. Funny enough, they can win this still in regulation. It'd have to be a perfect side, but it is possible. They can do it. But again, a little unlikely. We'll have to see what happens. As of right now, Soniqs well within their right to take border and force us to the decider, which is Clubhouse, quite quickly.
Indeed, looking to thrust us into it without too much delay. We'll have to wait and see if the Soniqs run into any of the same issues that DarkZero was having problems with, of course, back on the first half. Just the slow nature of the play we were getting from them. They have allowed for at least a few individual plays to come out from the Soniqs, just as they were telegraphing themselves too much. So we'll see if the Soniqs will speed things up a little bit more, remove that possibility, or if the same thing shall potentially surface, as it's going to be another upstairs hold, of course, from DarkZero to start out this half. They go right for that site initially. Giovanni bringing the mirror into this one to try and make these angles a bit more difficult to work, specifically the main balcony entryway, as well as that push in through office.
Let's see what Soniqs going to do for their opener. We know that DarkZero really like to favor the balconies, specifically on this side. Try and play the crosses in towards office. Have some influence that way, making it to where some of the positions that the Soniqs had weren't so safe once they went for the rotations back towards site, but never really seemed to be too big of a problem for the Soniqs at the end of the day. In the scoreline given. As for DZ, still able to stand stalwart on this top floor. No one really donning their doorstep just yet, but as soon as I say that, looks like Sledge might be getting active. We saw Citizen around the bottom of Metal as well, so he could be working his way up soon enough. These two flirting with it right now. NJR right on the cusp of getting in a fight with Gunner. Rexonal Skeleton Key open the other side, and it looks like potentially, nope, Suicide will not be soft there. A little confused, as was I, from that position there, but there is indeed a reinforcement on that panel, so NJR can play through that safely.
Drop is in for at least one member of DZ as they're slowly going to begin peeling back their presence closer to the actual site. And on the end of the final minute, NJR on the castle. We'll be trying to go for a bit of a flank maneuver. It does appear, however, that a member of the Soniqs may be kind of pre-watching for this, or they just spotted the drop outright. That seems more likely here, given the positions that a few of the members of the Soniqs currently maintain. As for DarkZero, meanwhile, they're perfectly all right with this chain of events as long as there is not some sneaky play to get themselves into the site during the process of this. It'll be more than all right to let one player downstairs waste the majority of time throughout this round. I think there's a little bit of a worry from the Soniqs that it might as well have been the Oryx going down there.
Oh, unlucky.
Hop right back up.
That timing from NJR, he just changed angles and Gunner switches across. Let's see if he can get him. I don't think that Gunner knows he's down here. Easy pickings from MJR. And he'll get out. Tries to go back to the well there for a second. I thought he was going to stick it, but obviously not the case. Speaking of sticking, looks like we're going to have the plant starting to go down. Does anyone know where it's going to be at, though? Big Nitro from Gavini will stop it in its tracks. Soniqs now down a man, but some big kills coming through. Pambo will pick up one, and DarkZero find a round to start the defense.
So DZ not done fighting just yet here. Seems they've got a little bit more left in the tank, trying to rebound and end this one in 2-0 fashion. As we move away from that round, though, Soniqs destabilized there in the final moments of it, wasting far too much time trying to watch for the flank coming up through that hatch on the inside of their office hold. Ultimately to fall victim to that player anyway at the bottom of the hatch, even though it wasn't Oryx potentially trying to make that play. Stalwart hold indeed from our defenders. Now they get a chance to play on that side.
Did we open mini hatch on this?
We need to extend their grasp a bit further onto areas like vents as they go for this one on the second hold. Soniqs immediately with a little bit of a change up to their line. The line coming out here for Citizen. We'll see if that potentially locks in the information on the players they were having problems locking down a bit earlier on this time. So the possibility of some repicks to be thrusted out here too if they feel they need any change-ups.
Gonna be the Vents defense here from DarkZero. Capcan working their way in. Vigil as well, an operator that we haven't seen enough of this tournament. Just a fan favorite, really. Is kind of selfish utility at the end of the day, but able to make some big plays as he can slip right past those drones. Practically unbeknownst to them, as the little screen effect that you get. But quite the fun op, especially with the K1A in hand. As for the Soniqs lineup, though, looking fairly straightforward, especially with Citizen and those EE1Ds to go. Soniqs looking to lock up DarkZero's positionings and try and get their execution going that way. Potentially a few picks coming via that avenue as well.
Soniqs and the rest of DZ continue to bait out each other's attention here inside of the early round. As we continue to See the Soniqs move in for their initial bits of map control. East Main has been taken already, but moving it beyond that and the depths of the office is going to take a bit more time. They do see a player on cams. Gunnar, what are we doing here? Gaveni just on cams with his head presented to the breach. Gives himself away there. An easy pickup for Soniqs to start this round off now. Panba as well taking some damage as he tries to push back out over here towards break room. Gets caught out from it. Trying to take up a new position. Nearly gets caught on that cross as well. Hopping down from the jump up. So things are a little dangerous right now from DZ.
Oh, yeah. You can say that again, my friend. You take some OSHA courses here. Everybody getting pinched off at work. Skies and Gavini both down. Gunnar is going to falter as well. Finally a positive boon for DarkZero. His top floor presence going to mean the utmost to the future of this round. Oh, unfortunate from Panba. Just couldn't get the SMG out soon enough to try and take that fight with Rex, and rifle ready. And guns down yet another DZ member. It seems like they're full bore when it comes to this round so far. We're going to take down quite a few of the DarkZero camp. They're going to slow this round up as well. I don't know if Citizen, or rather Canadian, got marked there. They'll swing through. They'll definitely know his position now, though, as he pre-fires in through the bookshelf wall.
NJR found out after some considerable delay, and is now left down to only Canadian, way far away from the site here, playing all the way on the inside of Customs. Red into his position as well. It's an easy catch for Grixer and the rest of the Soniqs as they lock in another round for themselves.
On a can. Just standing there.
He's talking about what you're talking about.
I was just as surprised as you were. Like, they never saw the breach, I guess, or heard that. Like, how long was he on cams for? Like,
Beautiful.
Well, a little unfortunate for
that was a very weird one, but
yeah.
It really seemed to change the outcome of the round too much beyond that anyway.
Gavini didn't happen to be the one making the breach, right?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I don't.
He was in the, like, he was standing in the middle of it, but.
Yeah. Well, obviously, my brain there for a second. I was like, no, there's no way. But yeah, he's on defense. Just that's a little weird. I was reading some notes there for a split second. All I heard was Gavini died on drone while he was in front of a breach.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Well,
just standing there in front of the table. Like,
but, wow, that's
I guess maybe he thought his head wasn't present because it was like a headshot angle, so maybe he thought he was prone.
Oh, no, it was definitely a headshot angle.
Like,
we saw that.
I'm just trying to think of reasons, and unfortunately I'm not coming up with much here, so.
Well, he couldn't think at all, John, because his brains were on the floor, so.
Bit of a blunder from Gavini, and the next one's not going to start too well either, as he's going to run his head through some walls here on the Oryx, so we'll lose a little bit of HP right off the bat. We're going to see a few repicks.
I thought you were going to lean into the IQ points there.
No,
it's like run through walls. Maybe.
I'm not going to be that brutal about it, but
yeah, don't be rude. All right, a little unfortunate there for Gav. It does tend to happen, but you definitely don't want it in a moment where it's a game-changing round, right? Like that. So
I mean, it just set up map point now. So.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, you give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's also like, Gav, come on, man. A little unfortunate, but we're about 20 seconds in now. We've wasted enough time through this prep phase, the boring part of Rainbow Six. And now Soniqs can work their way onto the map, and they've brought Dokkaebi to the table. Those logic bombs, so very fun. See if they can clear out the map in a convincing way with that utility.
A peek from Geo, but a much better response. Oh my goodness, from NJR. Apparently not that much better, as Grixer has his trade on the way down through East Main stairs. Knocks him down nice and quick. Brings us back down to a much more normal 4v4 here. Citizen and Panba from either side. They're both taking some heat as well here, but Gunnar is the one to strike next from the Soniqs. Grabs Gavini. Puts the team ahead by one player. Grixer already with Overwatch, the peaks and tellers too, and sees one Canadian. Not catching him over by this half wall, but at the same time, the slower adjustment from Grixer costs him the kill outright. Canadian still incredibly low, nearly gives away another angle to Grixer. He's allowed to fall back. Panba to equalize things though, as he's still causing some problems upstairs. There's Grixer with the finalizing bullet against Canadian. Can Panba get a big swing here and potentially change his own team's fate up? Finds the winning angle, knocks down Rex, and still keeps us even.
2 versus 2. Case in nobody's hands. Where is this thing? Let's get rid of the camera. Yeah, it looks like it's upstairs and out. Yeah, it's up on the balcony. Minute 14, Gunner's trying to stay dead silent, quiet as mouse here for the offense. Pambazoo pre-fires through, drops off the hatch, but not able to do too much. DarkZero attempting to work their way through.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
A little awkward here from both of these squads at the current moment.
Doc coming in to help out pretty nicely in this situation. It does reboost Panba's HP up to a much better level. Certainly going to be capable of fighting and potentially trading out some of these disadvantaged health fights if he gets that opening bullet or two, but Panba goes right back to the top hold here, drops the case for a second time. His teammate's still alive, even though we saw Grixer engage Skies a few seconds before Panba's own fight began. The nade in, uncooked though. Gives him plenty of time to rotate around it. The wrong read initially for the spray here. And Skies actually through the floor to finish things out. As DarkZero hold on. The first of 4 claimed, but indeed 3 more still to go just to get us to another OT.
Extremely well done from DarkZero. Skies with the known angle work through the floor as well. Didn't need an angle built up at all. Just shot him right through the wood floor. Knew exactly where that door frame was. So great map knowledge here from him. DarkZero, so far so good on their defensive side, but the biggest issue now is that they have to go 3 in a row in order to tie this up and force this to overtime. We saw the Soniqs able to do this on Kafe, but is it DarkZero's time?
Certainly on the train, but gonna keep themselves on it here. Soniqs keeping the Dokkaebi in check currently for Citizen, wanting to play into that phone call intel to figure out where it more hard bunkered positions from DarkZero are going to be hiding out at. Initially thinking about a 6 pick to move the Sledge out of the lineup, but looks like they're going to keep it after further discussion upon that. DarkZero, no surprises when it comes to their own lineup as well here. Perfectly suited for this specific site setup. So see those frost mats double deployed over here to the inside of the radio position again. Allowing NGR to play this out a bit more of that. Having to have constant overwatch on his backside. This has been a very pivotal piece of the map. And the speed with which the attackers are able to clear this out and potentially the number of kills they're able to claim in that process has oftentimes had a big impact on who has ultimately won these rounds.
Lots of soft breach here for the Soniqs and their due diligence of hard breach as well for Geo. Ace always really easy to work in, especially for your hard breach players. Usually favoring that gun as well. If Ace works, then, well, might as well bring him. That AK-12 can end up bagging you quite a few kills in the proper hands, and Geo definitely suffices. Gunner's going to deal some damage over to Gavini. He's playing over inside of Fountain. Does have a supporting angle with one of the players inside of Office. Frag grenade in. Likely going to clean up a frost mat and everything else in between. Expecting an aggressive assault off of that as the DZ member of NJR, but nothing doing.
Very quiet across the map as the Soniqs still look for an Ace capability to knock out the Frost. The problem is they can't really push towards it without risking their own lives due to the additional setup over here by Fountain. NJR decides to take a step forward now, challenge it himself. He goes down, and even worse, Kafe, who is supporting him, is eliminated also. This is not the start to this round that DarkZero needed, and unfortunately, it's going to continue to get even worse. Gunart with the next slapdown eliminates Canadian. Skies is the only one left here, and he'll go down quite quickly as well to Gunnar. A flawless round to end it, getting some revenge for DarkZero's own flawless rounds at the tail end of the previous map. They make quick work here of map number 2 and send us right on to Clubhouse for map number 3.
Extremely excited for this one, John. Let's throw you guys to a quick break, and we'll be back with Clubhouse.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
And welcome back, everyone, as we get back into things here between the Soniqs and DarkZero. We just finished things up quite quickly, in fact, over on Border, where we saw Soniqs take things quite convincingly in 7-2 fashion. So we'll see if DarkZero can try and slow things down on the Soniqs side of things here on Clubhouse, but things have been heating up so far between these two, haven't they, John?
A little bit worried, to be honest, for the Soniqs now going into this third map, as obviously moving over to Clubhouse. This plays stylistically a much more similar game to our first map compared to our third map, but that's where obviously DarkZero had the greater amount of control there. With that said, that map did go to overtime, ultimately, to be able to decide that, so there's still plenty of room for the Soniqs to bounce back into this. It's Clubhouse, after all, as well, so there is going to be plenty of play tape for both of these teams on that one. They should be very well and familiar with each other. I'm expecting this one to be a bare-knuckle brawl, hopefully going the full distance to max OT. So we'll have to see if that ends up being true. You can see the teams just making their last-minute preparations now as they get themselves ready to hop into our final map of the series. A lot on the line for this one. It is only the very first game of the bracket for both of these teams, but of course, it also means now that the loser will be going down and will have to fight for pretty much the rest of the bracket, a good 90% of it or so in the lower bracket. So not something you want staring you in the back the entire time as you try to make your way to the grand finals.
Yeah, definitely not something that you want to try and deal with. Both of these teams looking to take Clubhouse It's going to be hard fought, and expecting overtime here between these two. A hallmark of both of their styles and gameplay throughout the years. Transcending rosters and all, these organizations have always represented themselves when it came to club. And in fact, that man that you saw on DZ Canadian, well, in fact, he's one of the members that originated the SSG Rome on this map. So don't know how many more accolades you want from them. Win percentages, everything else, you can toss it out the window. We're moments away here from Clubhouse. We'll settle it in the server.
Indeed, we will. Quite the map to end up going to as well. This is definitely one of the maps we have seen get kind of played out the most, so not going to expect any huge surprises here from either team when it comes to strategy and overall play style. Should be pretty much what we have seen in the past. It's very similar to maps like Oregon and whatnot, where most teams have pretty much figured out every bit and end of this map that can be exploited. That means that they are very well aware of each other's intentions going into it too. Hopefully we're going to get the best of the best that we can get here in CH. As players should be able to appropriately adapt to every single situation that is thrown at them. Getting everybody sat down now. Apologies for a little bit delay and get things started, folks. I think we're just a few seconds away, though, from leaping into this one. Seeing if the new DZ, of course, once again with some new stars jumping onto their roster for this event as well, is enough to challenge the newest pickup from the Soniqs in Citizen, who has been playing lights out this event so far. Specifically in the middle of gunfights, he has been worth his weight in gold. Just this capability to kind of trade things out, make sure the team stays even with their opponents, or even pushes it a step further in a best case scenario. But here we go, folks. Your patience has been well rewarded now as we are going live with Clubhouse, the final map of this series.
Kafe, stalwarts, border, definitely favored. Clubhouse, as you said, John, it's going to come down to the fisticuffs. We'll see which one of these teams can settle this. Is it going to be a quick affair? It's going to be a drawn-out romance. We'll have to find out here. Soniqs with the first ban. What are we not playing on Clubhouse? What is not available to us? And finally, we get something interesting when it comes to the bans. Everything so far this tournament for a lot of our games has been really, really straightforward. I mean, getting a couple little sprinkles, some smoke bans here or there, maybe some other things, a blitz ban rolling in, but nothing like this. Oh my, North America. Jeez. Let's play some Clubhouse. Thermite and Maverick off the board for the offensive side. Expect your EMPs, expect your fellow hard breachers to mean quite a bit. Habana is worth... You said gold, we're moving to platinum, we're moving to any expensive material because you're going to need her.
Cade is the first one to get banned out, as we're going to try and prevent some of that electric claw work from coming in. You kind of have to do that there, otherwise you set yourself up for failure on a few of these executes. Keep in mind, of course, you have the Thatcher to just directly counter them out as well, but this makes it so that is not going to be a requirement, at least for the basement attack. Last ban coming in here. Wow, we are just all of the wall utility. That's the entire focus of this ban. It's pretty much entirely for those hatch
Look at Goddess's face!
As well as the main balconies on the second floor here. That is the entire focus of these bans. Never have I seen an entire ban set go to one specific point or a few specific points on the map. Usually just one or two at most. But this time the entire breadth of it is going to be fully focused on that.
I love how both of these teams had the choice to double down, and they both
Well, the other thing, too, is look at the defender lineup now, right? We have Azami, we have Solus, and we have Valkyrie unlocked for plays. There's just like, I would not be surprised at all if we just see, like, all these teams go roam crazy, like double down on, like you said, the SSG roam, things like that we're going to play out from the basement. That's got to be the way you play this now because you have so many of these powerful operators unlocked.
This right here might be one of the most unique clubhouses that we'll have for some time. Not a lot of teams really like playing into this. This is something that is, you know, pretty scrim heavy. You'll do like some really weird op bans and that kind of stuff to try and build up to a moment like this. And that's why I was so excited for this Veil to get pulled off. Both of these teams, once again, doubling down in their regards, double down in the walls, double down in also the denial of said walls. So, gonna be fun here. Gonna get into the round. Let's see if this roam game comes to fruition from the Soniqs.
Well, let's get things started. Rexon already spotting out one player confirmed. He saw the phone there just a second ago as the barricade is also gonna get popped open here. And JR with the rappel up to the roof, that will not be continuing to maintain this position to challenge it any further. Move away from it instead. Regroup with the rest of the team a little bit further down below. Relatively controlled roam so far from the Soniqs in round number one. Not trying to throw themselves at the enemy, of course, but Certainly still trying to maintain positioning, but not going to be doubling or tripling down on those in any extent, falling back at the usual point in the round we would expect them to so far.
Well, Mute's going to be on the top floor. He'll begin descending the stairwell here, get himself out just in time. Oh, so low HP. Pambazoo bearing down on their location. Able to light up one. The blood spurts on the back wall signify that. He chases him down. Tags up Citizen. Is he going to swing for this? We know Citizen quite raunchy when it comes to the gunfights. Absolutely loves to get down and dirty with these. Ends up taking the swing. He'll tag him. Little due diligence there, matching his own HP bar. Great work here from DarkZero. The drone game really backing off the Soniqs now on a lot of these external annexes.
The supply hatch open gives our attackers access to the lower blue room here. That's one option open now for DarkZero to begin taking that basement control away from the Soniqs. Soniqs, of course, have tried to challenge this quite a bit, but so far not really been met with success. Geo brought down to a sliver of HP. Citizen and Grixer also injured throughout the process of this one. Geo going to try to set himself up for another pre-placed Nitro down below. We'll see if the timing aligns for the cross as they try to move their way forward, but it's going to be NJR claiming the first kill of the round now, grabbing Rexon. As we see him challenge once again here from the bottom of blue, nearly loses his life in a trade during the process of that one. Forced back further in oil pit. Surprise angle is how he's able to find the first kill to begin with here. But beyond that, unfortunately, is not able to push it any further as he has no support from the main blue route, and it's way too easy of an angle for the Soniqs roster to counter out.
He's still all the way in the back of oil pit. You know he's gone now, but he's going to give up the goods. Frag grenade in. They'll definitely be aware at this moment. Some big kills here from the Soniqs. Be able to equalize, not before Pambazoo pulls him back across the line. Grixer trying to deal with the position inside of blue. Big damage. Nice angle from Canadian on the hatch. Will get it done. DarkZero pick up the first round.
Oh, I got his feet just like that too.
DarkZero take that control and will be able to put their feet on the ground first here on Clubhouse. A 1-0 lead established from them. Now we see if they can push it further. No retries for the Soniqs. They are not happy with the way that they played things out there in the basement, so it's upstairs for them into the gym and bedroom. Hopefully, these defensive operator bans that did not go through give them a little bit more firepower, as the extension just did not have the weight they were hoping it would to swing at the attackers in that last round.
Yeah, this is where things get really murky with our defensive bans. You really don't have anything to hold up some important walls like Jacuzzi or the single panel for construction, potentially extending themselves out over towards CCTV, you know, as well. So you're really going to be leaning on the mute jammers to potentially do that. But the big issue is not only Dokkaebi very prominent nowadays, and she has EMPs, but you also have Thatcher at your disposal on the offensive side as well. They were looking at the Dokkaebi. Canadian's going to switch that over to another hard breach op, so they'll bring that to partner up with NJR. Potential for that in Skies as well. Frag grenades in for Gav. The Ace going to get switched out for Pam, but big lineup change here. We're going to throw some ops around, so we'll just give them a second, and those will get locked in officially. So they're going to go with a lot of hard breach. That's really what we want to look at. Skies will bring the secondary hard breach here. So 3 hard breach ops, allowing the other ones to swing about. Got Gab on the soft breach there for the sledge for the castle barricades that could be brought, but actually not going to be seeing any of those, so won't have to worry about that all too much. Mostly just for the soft destruction as well as the frag grenades, able to pair those up with Pambazoo quite nicely. So DZ having all of the means of production for round 2.
With round 2 alive and well, we're going to see the rest of DZ begin to position themselves on those window positions. A slow wind up to that as they do want to open things up over here towards Logi first. A little bit slower rolling in that respect, but attempt to possibly come in here to also grab some openings over towards the construction angle as they do not want to allow the Soniqs to maintain that set piece for their hold here. The nade goes in. Has not got the barricade, but is not going to be taking down that Frostmite sitting on the other side, just as you get a little bit more utility committed to that to get that job done here. The hatch opening as well as the garage being popped, though, does force some of the presence away from construction, as well as Logi here. Once again, forcing Soniqs to hold things just a bit closer to the chest. We have that extension deployed over on the inside of Cash. That looks like it is now going to be challenged here over the next 10 to 15 seconds or so. Only one player at the moment defending it, but Rexon does have a second one deeper in construction if the need should arise.
DarkZero, get Jacuzzi wall open and begin working their way towards the construction side. Not much to say about that for Soniqs' camp, as they don't have the means to try and stop that given the ban. So have to give up the wall, trying to respect the opening, potentially slow up DarkZero on the actual execute. Frag grenade goes in, barely tags up Citizen. DarkZero, solid position around now, and now we're starting to see why that sledge building its way in. Yes, no castle barricades, but also the Azami, very, very annoying when it comes to her Kiba barriers, so always nice to be able to knock your angles back open. Don't have to punch those things 3 times. Sky's going to swing in. He gets gunned down by Geo. The ADS will eat up the thing that was so very needed in that moment. Nice Pambazoo with a nice little prone there will work it out. Had to do something. Didn't see him. Knew that shotgun was coming through, but it didn't know about Citizen. Very well done with the Russian SMG. Takes out Pamba. 4 versus 3. DarkZero, they have to try and pick up the pieces. They'll get Gunner, and JR off on an island. He's going to stun about, try and rotate back through. Pre-fire from Rexon, almost wins it out, and JR so much damage dealt to him. Another stun right at his feet. Rexon, how is he doing this? How does he manage it? Oh my! Once again, he did it on border. He gets it done in cash. It's blood money, baby.
Canadian left alone here now. 1v3 beset against him. Virtually no time. This round, realistically, it is done at this point here. Soniqs going to be finally picking up, oh, maybe one for themselves, but yeah, Canadian just no real time to make this work, unfortunately. And more importantly, no for the Soniqs, baiting into his angle. Rexon, the big hero on the field yet again, stops the DarkZero roster from running away with a 2-0 lead. And now puts his team up on the board 1-1.
Yeah, that was a pure definition of in it right there from Rexon, as stuns abound, completely blinded, still works his way out. John, he probably got behind green box completely blind. That was just spatial awareness from him, as that stun through that drone hole practically worked its way into his back pocket. He was sitting on it when it popped. Incredible from Rexon there. Soniqs able to get their first round off of the back of his heroics. They're going to send it right back down into the basement to try and right their wrongs.
And as they work their way into the basement, we're not going to see a huge number of changes coming in from them. The mirror is going to be added specifically for Gunnar here. See if once again that is going to boost their own capability to fight out once DarkZero manages to reach said part of the map. Quite a few repicks coming in from DZ as well here. I don't think that they expected to go to this site for this round, but that's all right. Just that's the reason why we have to take a repick now, so you can make those adjustments on the fly. So they'll certainly do so, as they may have been expecting the full rotation over towards Cash first before Soniqs made the return down to here, but never mind. It is once more just going to be a bit more of a bunker-centric hold from the looks of things for the Soniqs as they swap the Solus out for the Mira.
Both of them a fantastic consideration when it comes down to it. Looks like they'll be using the Mira downstairs, one that can be quite finicky, but can also be the round ender if played out correctly from this position. Doesn't look like there's any ADSs of any kind around that space, so Gunnar might be in trouble from that angle, but past that, being able to influence the bottom of main stairs is of the utmost importance to the basement players who are playing this site. It's the most generic cross in the business when it comes down to it, John. It's a long hallway, you hold a door, not really too much going on. Splits the site in half, and that's really what you want to try and attempt to get done in Siege. So that when those crosses come through from the defense, they end up dying to your gun. See if DarkZero can muster that. It'll be the top floor assault first. This assault slowly boiling over. Drone now in to try and discover Citizen's position.
A bomb has been located.
Continue to be a slow rolling round here for both of these teams as once more DarkZero sits at the precipice of the basement descent. Citizen immediately ready to deny any more direct pushes to work its way over here towards the main stairs. Filtering himself back instead though once the drone spots him out. Not going to be too smart to stick around there after you have been counter-drone, especially now with these angles being set up by Canadian and the rest of DZ. Even if he tried to stick around, the second he finally did decide to go back downstairs, he'd be a dead man in the hands of these top-down angles. So good thing he got himself out of there when the opportunity was still in play. A little over a minute left. DarkZero, like I said, have reached that execution point, but they have not been able to actually push themselves forward just yet. Still looking for the options to do that. We still have the hatchwork to be worried about as well here, but that should more than likely be the next focus point for them. So we have both Hibana and the Ace to accomplish that. Don't imagine there's going to be too much of an issue getting either of those open with the counters to those hatches being quite heavily banned out here. Once again, though, No real action in terms of either team trying to take a gunfight here. Soniqs just getting ready for the inevitable as they wait for those final hatch plays to be opened up and for DarkZero to pull the trigger on their execute.
Well, we await it as well. Stun prep for Skies. And in we go. Into Moto. Rest of the squad has to help with this. Big kills from the Soniqs. Have beads on every entry point. DarkZero, no recoil, nothing to come through. Finally, Pamazoo, but he's already dead. He's got to work his way solo dolo all the way into sight. Gets gunned down by Citizen just waiting behind the panel. What's behind door number 1? Boom, it's a man with a gun. Takes him down. Flawless round there for Soniqs.
Soniqs, a much more definitive stance being put forward here now. It's going to create some big problems for DZ if they don't flip it back quickly. Now it's a casual coming up on this next one from Soniqs as they'll fully test themselves for their third and final site play. Not favoring the bar stage at all here. So we will not see that come into their rotation, at least not initially, as they finally complete the set with this round. It's up to DZ, of course, change things up now. Work their way passes, which, again, theoretically should be able to do, given what we have banned out.
Yeah, those kind of rounds for DarkZero always just feel so bad because they have so much build up for it, right? It's like your friend like hyping themselves up the entire time that they're incredibly good at something, and then you find out that they're actually just terrible. They got everything right, and then they just botched the execution. It's like made it all the way through their golf swing, and then just fell right off the side of Topgolf. Super unfortunate. So I'll have to see if DarkZero can try and fix it up when it comes to the execute. I definitely think they had everything at their disposal to try and get some pressure on the basement towards the Soniqs. The biggest issue is that they really didn't know the exact positioning. The Soniqs made it to where there was a lot of guesswork for DarkZero entering the actual site, especially with the positioning of the Kiba barriers, making life quite difficult. So see if DZ is no longer the shoddy golfer and can find their Tiger Woods.
But as we get ourselves into the depths of round number 4 here, we'll continue to see how we'll try to make this Monty pickup work for themselves. Soniqs just patiently waiting this one down as once more DZ sets up their opening breaches and begins to establish that those first few bits of map control. Rexen, of course, will get the first spot of this Monte. Not really much she can do about it here. Doesn't really have shield or anything to play out towards it. We're going to see both corners opened up here. Quite a few X-Kairos committed to generating a bit of a workable construction angle for the attackers to play out too. And similarly to what we had talked about at the beginning of the round, a free opening of the main balcony. Nothing that the defenders can really do to get into the way of that one, although that one on the left opens in a bit of a weird way right there. Still going to be seeing it left as a partial banner. I believe that was a creation by DarkZero here. As Canadian, once again, will be back on drones, or at least we'll try to get back on drones. Kind of a expected encounter there when he chucked that one back out. As we had Rexen still sitting behind the Azami barricade, ready to pop that thing away the moment it was thrown onto the ground. And he'll do the same for any following drones too here. Already half of the drone count gone, so may want to reconsider just thrusting them at Rexen endlessly if they don't have another player to peek into the garage window itself.
Well, there's one thing that we've learned about this game so far. It's that you don't test Rexen's metal. He's going to reside inside a catwalk. He's looked fantastic throughout this game. Frostmat down to his immediate right. Canadian's going to see this, and funnily enough, this is going to be the biggest obstacle for Monty. A little flat mat is going to be the biggest problem here. Stuns pour in, and oh, Canadian! He just drops the shield and lets it sing, shoots the man right in the face. Oh my! DarkZero, Canadian, the ball's on this man. Just takes full control of Catwalk. DarkZero, they found their gall. They're in it. Geo, the last man standing. Is it back-to-back flawless rounds? Give it to me. Come on, DarkZero, give him hell. Let's have an NA derby. The shield's found him, Geo. He spins back and forth. Have a day, DarkZero. North American fans, stand up. Let's have a time.
Making a statement here for DZ as they plant their feet on the ground, and nice and quickly here in round number 4. And more importantly, gonna make the Soniqs think twice about going back to that site later on here. Those bands may have taken it out of their rotation entirely, but do they have a third site to fall back on now? That's the bigger question And we'll probably get an answer to that once they lock away this one. See if they want to actually make that return to the basement, or if they'll potentially try out the other site that they have yet to play into over towards Bar. Here we go, though, for Jim. They have had some success in locking things away already.
Man, oh man, what a round. The DarkZero is going to be stunted with that garage position from Rexon, especially with the frost mat there. But they make it work simply by throwing stuns at him. No ADSs, no Wamai discs, nothing in that area to prevent any throwables from influencing the position. That influence was definitely heard. This Canadian was able to take him out with Monty. Shield down, shoots him up with the pistol. Very well done from DarkZero. It's going to be a big extension here from the Soniqs on the top floor, though, as we're just getting into round 5. The frost mats will still reside, and it will still be Rexon. Looks like he's going to go for a little spawn peek over the top of the van outside. Nothing doing for that. Excited to see what they can do as they push themselves out over towards this eastern side. Some more frost mats and other things abound. They have reinforced the CCTV wall here, so more than likely going to be DarkZero at least starting off on this end.
Let's get a wind up to a whole lot of nothing here inside of the first 30 seconds. As DarkZero just use this as extra drone time more than anything to set themselves up. Claymore down on the ground. That'll stop the blue window hop out, if anyone from the Soniqs was thinking about it. Not really in the cards for them, though, so there's a low potential of striking true, but it's more of an insurance policy than anything else. You put it there even if it doesn't really make sense to have it in this specific moment. The intel that the team has. Can openers, interestingly enough, being used to pop open garage. So being a little bit awkward just because of the timing you have to deploy those towards, but hey, DarkZero make it work for themselves, just as they're going to be able to pop open Jacuzzi without too much of a problem here either. Impacts come through, make it a bit awkward though, and in fact, I don't even think you can pop through that with the way it's shaped at the moment. That's going to be a big problem, as all 3 of the Selmas got used. In addition to that, all 18 of the X-Kairos are also gone.
Wow.
So this could be a problem for DZ.
Drone active.
Yeah, it's gonna provide a couple of issues. Number one, the influence onto the bathroom position might be kind of a problem, but Citizen is dead now, so, I mean, less positions to play overall, so that's already helping DarkZero's case. Gunner's gonna move in underneath. Don't think that they know that he's here, so, but do they know that he knows where they are? Hop out. Big kills from Pamba. Nice read from DarkZero. Apparently they did know what was going on over inside of the billiards area. Some big kills now, and the Soniqs sent reeling. They have to try and figure this out in a 3 versus 5. Almost a 2 versus 5 as that frag grenade attempts to find the feet of a Soniqs member.
Grexer with the shot going in, Pan, but to trade things back out into his own favor, and DZ, with just way too much control over the situation, unfortunately there, is able to make things work for themselves very quickly, turning it around, back onto its heels, stealing that control for themselves. The breach issue apparently not tripping them up all that much, as they still take the lead along with this round here. Now forge ahead, 3-2 over the Soniqs. 1 round to go still in this half as well, and it's another basement hold from our defenders.
And I don't know if the Soniqs will ever hear it down. If they choose DarkZero, then lose to them inside of this best of 3. 3-2 right now. DarkZero looking to take their offensive side, John. It's looked very good so far, but you could say that a bunch of different ways for both of these teams. You know, Soniqs making a good case that this game could still go to overtime, especially with some of the bigger plays we've been seeing out of these players and some of the low-time executes from DarkZero that haven't exactly been going their way. But when DarkZero's on the ball, it really looks like they are world beaters. Constantly at the necks of Soniqs, some big kills coming inside of the mid-round and really making it to where that last minute is fully in their control. So we'll see if DarkZero can potentially get things going early on once again here. This basement site has been the one that's been giving them a decent amount of trouble.
Certainly has been that case. So Ying has been brought in now to potentially make things a little bit easier for not only DZ but Skies as well. On top of the usual hard breach and the IQ being picked up for Gavani as well. The Valkyrie cameras will be in play, so a bit to spot in that regard now. To try and play things out specifically with the IQ. Aside from that, though, not going to be a whole lot of gadgets that can be spotted out. More than likely giving advanced intel of things more than anything else, such as the magnet discs from Rexen that are going to be thrown down, as well as those mute jammers from Geo, should the opportunity arise for those to be called out.
Away from that, Rexen begins inside of Secret. Back off after being discovered from a DarkZero drone. Still trying to figure out exactly what's going on this mid floor. They'll begin sussing out some other positions that they're worried about. But as we know, majority of the Sonics reside downstairs, where these cameras and everything else in between, the IQ making things so very easy. I believe it's on the far side, so a little bit difficult there for Gavini to get bullets not going through that middle cage around the light bulb, unfortunately enough for his case. So DarkZero still in the early beginnings of this round. They've been able to at least clear out the top 2 floors, soft destruction, as well as the hard breach. Now is what we'll see played into.
All the Nitro's out. And we will not see a whole lot of action following it up, as that will go through.
Oh.
Hold on, though.
Citizen.
It's the Valcam from up on top that just got shot there. So not seeing the Nitro go out just yet. Citizen, of course, has lost his intel gain here now, is the big problem for him, of course. He doesn't necessarily know when to trigger. Can only play it off an audio cue, which is going to be suboptimal to say the least. The sledge play coming through. Actually opening up that area of the floor. At the same time, the X-Kairos attempting to be worked. Should be able to pop open the remainder of the hatch with these two to going down here. There we go, the job will be done. Nitro's actually chucked out the second time from Citizen, and this one's a winner. Knocks out Panba, gives Soniqs the opening kill that will go unresponded to for the time being.
Extremely well done. DarkZero once again, low time. Real no
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
info on where the positioning from the Sonics are at the moment. Little guesswork going into this. Frag grenades out, and they're all going to land on deaf ears. The Sonics once again looking to take this round. Candela's in. They have to execute off of this. Skies and the rest have to go. They'll throw themselves in. Gavini with a big kill. Have they been able to find the space? Canadian, he sits at the back, but he's been gunned down by Grixer, who's prone at AK. They have everyone at the back of this able to assist. Grixer, so many angles to work. It's all left up to Gav. He has to get 3. It's 3-3 after the half for the Sonics. Such amazing positioning yet again. DarkZero all over, able to get down to the execution point, but they don't know where the Sonics members are to actually do anything about it. They have to just try and run through the woods and hope that they don't get eaten by a big bear. The Sonics once again able to be that big bear. 3-3 here. We're going to switch sides. DarkZero going to CCTV for the first.
And now DarkZero will have to deal with all of the issues from the bans that we had talked about previously, where the defenders realistically just not going to be able to block out access to any of these walls here and keep it that way throughout the round. Attackers have way too much utility access. Immediately, though, they're going to challenge arguably the worst sight that we saw from the Sonics back in the previous halves. They are not too worried about those potential disadvantages as they go directly for this site here, which will be ripped wide open by the Sonics, more likely in the first minute or two of play. It's just all about how they establish the winning actual execute angles that will really decide whether they take this round or DarkZero is able to successfully hold on to it upstairs in CCTV and cash. In terms of the lineup, it's pretty much what we'd expect to see. A lot of free roaming operators for DZ specifically here. We've got 2 utility mitigation ops that are going to throw down most of their utility now, and of course Wamai throughout the course of the round. The Solus, which will just be constantly on roam gathering intel. And then on top of that, we have Skies, too, playing things with the Azami barricades. That'll be a constant annoyance to Sonics as they try to open up any territory at all on this site.
Yeah, you know, you feel like Jaeger Wamai almost a necessity when it comes to this site. Didn't see that favored in the Sonics case. This time we'll see some ADSs placed inside of Garage, so hopefully the stun play that we saw from DZ won't work out against them. 4 nades built up for the Sonics, excuse me, as well there for the Sledge as well as the Yana. Double hard breach working its way in. Gunner will be onto the Flores. Haven't seen too much Flores between these two, but doesn't mean it's a bad op. Those Rotero drones, so very useful at the end of the day. Able to dislodge a lot of hard stuck positioning as well as a lot of those Kiba barriers. So as soon as the zombie came into competitive queue, made it to where he got played even more because of all of those Kiba barriers. So Skies Gonna be the player here for DarkZero inside of the garage. He's got Pambazoo in tow on the far side. Impact out. I think he got rid of the Claymore that was potentially there. I think that was Geo's Claymore that had been placed outside, so very well done from Skies. Won't deal any damage to the Soniqs members, though.
Geo just trying to pepper out the soft paneling there. Citizen to strike back, though. He claims the actual first kill here on the inside of the garage balcony. Panda tries to lean back into Citizen's angle, pays the price for it, as an opener is given to our attackers instead. Canadian trying to battle back against that from the inside of construction window, but again, Citizen reading into that play. The hop from Citizen as he just full commits. Very little support behind that potential push, but he goes for it anyway. Skies now gonna have some heat coming his way here as he tries to hold on to the top of that garage catwalk. He too battled out successfully by Rexon this time to give the SQ roster the one-player advantage back.
Canadian gunned down as well. NJR with only a single smoke, and DarkZero, they've miscalculated their first defense. They don't have the means to stop this. NJR, though, he's recognized they have to get aggressive. They have to make a play. Takes out the plat player. Rexon now all alone. He doesn't know if he's getting aggressive or what have you. NJR, so much heat from both angles. They know where he is now. Practically impossible to make it out of that. Rexon kills him. Gavini, the lone soul, the new member for DarkZero, fresh blood. About to be spilt. Stuns in, and Gavini will be stun locked through the drone hole as they're constantly, oh my, Soniqs bullying this man. Look at all of the stun grenades, John, that they just used on that guy. I think it was 6 stuns into the top of red there.
That'll explain at least part of the reason why we saw the Soniqs keep that sight at the very end of their rotation for that first half. So, moving into the next one, we'll see an immediate change up on that as they go back downstairs instead here. But with their opponents now in front of the charge, and if things go wrong here, what's the backup plan? They're very quickly running out of options, and the Soniqs will be feeling certainly very good about their capabilities to continue moving forward here in the upper bracket.
Back into the basement we go, but it's going to be the first time for DarkZero. They'll have the Warden in to try and thwart some of the smoke plays that could be potentially boiling over from a Capital, but Citizen going to throw that one to the wayside. He was flashing for a second onto the Habana, and now we'll let them lock up their offensive lineup. As for the defense, some potential roam game pouring over as we do have NJR on the Oryx, and that's usually a telltale sign of what the future holds. Doesn't necessarily mean that he has to go for it, but usually end up seeing him on one of these mid floors when that is the case. DarkZero past that, though, having everything else at their disposal to try and build up a successful defense. You have the Azami, you have the Valkyrie cams as well as Wamai, looking like a very, very solid set for them. As for the Soniqs, they're going to work in Nook. Didn't get to see that on DarkZero's side too much when they played offense, so see if Rexon can get past some cameras here.
Panda just spamming out a little bit here, then get a drone on him. Just quickly get rid of that. Allowing for DZ to play this one out a little bit more. For the Soniqs, though, we are seeing a bit of a slow windup from them as they generally need to figure out what the heck DarkZero is deploying towards at the moment here, which is going to be that extended roam upstairs. So a little bit more of a complicated formula to figure out. It's actually a short-lived one, though. As you can see, 3 of those players backing up from their blue hold now. So it does return itself to be a normal bunker-style play from DZ when everything is said and done with regards to that first minute being wasted away. Soniqs are well on their way to the clear of the top floor anyway, just kind of checking off all the boxes just to make sure nothing is missed. And then they can focus things up. They'll pretty much have half of the round here to actually execute into the basement, but oftentimes even that may not be enough here. So we'll have to wait and see just how well things can go for them.
Well, top clear's worked out for the Soniqs. DarkZero haven't had to fall back or anything of the sort, obviously, as they've been playing this close to the chest the entire time. Soniqs, aware that some rotations can come through, although DarkZero's not going to give them to them. So everybody is downstairs waiting for the Soniqs to get here. They're late to the party. It's 6 p.m. It's 6:15 now. That's a big issue here. But you never want to be first there, right, John? That's the key thing. Never want to be first to the party. Then you have to have that awkward conversation. Hi, how are you? How's the kids? Great. Man, I'm just trying to stand off in the corner and like listen to some music or something, right? As for the Soniqs, they're going to be able to get some of the hard breach done as well as the soft breaching going on. Some drone work here. Skies will discover a drone on top of AC. They're going to have to quickly move. One of the Soniqs members also inside of the actual oil pit. So Rexon's going to begin moving forward. And this honestly can work quite well. He's got plenty left in the knock health sensor here. Moves forward, gets one. Can he get the second? Waiting for the peek over top of the shield, but can't get it done. Solid Snake works out inside of this regard.
The drop from Grixer is in. Fortunately, no support to that, though, so he's got to be a little cautious about how he tries to move this forward. He'll be positioned just on the inside of Moto right now. The nade will roll out here to try and deal with the barricade. Should knock it down, but I believe they may have another one waiting in the pocket. They're not going to need it anyway. Giveni with the aggressive swing. The whole team busted out here to try and shut down the execute, and it'll work pretty much perfectly. One trade is found from Geo, but otherwise, it is very good from DZ as they lock it down here in the basement.
You in full agreement with Canadian there?
I'd say so. We can't say the words they're saying.
Yeah, we can actually see you. That's how I killed the guy on DZ. Okay. We had that one, boys. It's all good.
See, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's actually the funniest thing about this for these two. The least defensible site in Clubhouse, statistically speaking, right now is actually the basement at 54%. But they are quickly changing that just inside of this game. So weird how that works out.
Explains why teams haven't been going to it initially, just because they're like probably trying to play around those stats or play around their own strategies a bit more on the offsites. And so maybe basement's a bit too played out at this point. So
it is the most played though. 76 plays on that out of 162 rounds. 43 on Master and Gym at a 56%. 27 plays for Bar Stage at 63, and then 75% for Cash CCTV at 16 plays, which used to be the starting position for every team when they came to this map. It was up in CCTV or down in the basement, and a lot of things have changed since then.
Important to note that I'm pretty sure this is by a pretty large margin the oldest map in the pool now as well, in terms of like the map that's been in the rotation the longest with having no changes made to it.
You're correct.
Right?
Yes, you are correct.
Top of my head at least.
Let me think here.
Because it would have been Border, but then Border had like a minor rework.
The Cafe came out after Border was actually real recent in comparison. Clubhouse was literal ages ago. It was like year 3 or year 2, one of the two. Yeah. I funny enough, I still have a clip of me like shooting somebody through the soft wall of like when the roof used to be split up when construction no longer existed. Funny enough, guys, for you at home that recently played Siege, that room right there, construction, yeah, it used to not exist at all. It was outside. It was the worst thing ever. Hilarious thing. But they connected that, and that's why it's called construction, funny enough.
That's also why you see like the break in the roof.
Yeah.
On the roof right there.
Yeah, you see it? It's perfect. It's literally perfect.
It's puzzle pieced it in there.
But it's worked out. It's made it to where Clubhouse not only is a fan favorite, but is a favorite of our teams to go to and play, and it has been a constant throughout Siege history. One of my favorite maps, Clubhouse in Oregon, whenever you talk about Siege, those are the two that come to mind. So, but now for the Soniqs, we're about halfway through this. They've been processing a lot of this, but fortunately enough, they've been building up to this point quite quickly. Looking to get Jacuzzi and everything else going on and into the mix here. They also have to worry about the downward position as well, and that's up to Grixer. Canadian going to take the fight in through the bar connector, deal some damage to Grixer, but really just a call sign of, hey, if you come back down here again, I'm probably going to try and kill you.
Impact out from NJR does prevent the second opening of the Selma. This will also prevent hop-ins from coming through on the Sonic side as a result of that one. Easy, even or just reinforcing those walls by chucking down the 2 as zombie barricades directly on top of that. Another one still to be potentially presented to NJR at a later point in this round as well. We'll have breath about what he can potentially build up towards. Here is all for Gavani. That's just too easy. Shuts it down. The follow-up from his teammates is way too slow there, so he is allowed to go crazy on to Citizen. Takes him down. A little bit of a desync there from the Soniqs. Cost them their opener as they try to move in for construction. Take it one step beyond that. Pay the price.
Bomb diffuser has been dropped. Attackers have
Big impact out onto Grixer's location. Damage dealt, Gavini down, plant started for Geo. There's no way they can get this done. Everybody pushing in, trying to assist, but the Soniqs battle back. They get the case back under control. It's up to Canadian, but where's he at? No nitro cell. They'll stop the plant. Is there any cameras around to help them? You see Gunner and Citizen flickering back and forth in between them. He's got the counter angle. Doesn't go for the hop, goes for the shots though, gets the stop. Canadian, ice cold, just like the North. Rotates back downstairs. You can see the black eye cam work here from MJR and Skies as well. He'll run back. Has to try and get back up the stairwell. Rexon, he's going to have the time. It's going to be up to the gunfight here. He knows he's on the stairwell. Here it comes. Rexon can't win it. Canadian gets it done. The old head once again. He just can't die. Almost year 8, he's still solving these problems.
DarkZero keep themselves in the lead with that big pickup there. Nice rebound to be seen from our defenders here. Keeps them in front of the situation now with 2 rounds to go. He's popping off. Feeling good about that clutch right there. Masterfully done. One of our biggest legacy players in the game right now. Canadian still with us after all these years.
What else would you expect? Always had the clutch gene, never worried, ever patient from that position. So well done. What a read from him in the squad as well. Able to take down Yana. And this is no small feat, folks. DarkZero, I gotta tell you this. When we entered their game 2 days ago, John, they had a negative 20 round count. Not a single person thought that they were gonna do this and that they were capable to play against the Soniqs, especially with Citizen in the list of players. List of names. Getting confused and back and forth on words. Anyways, point being, damn it, DarkZero's playing well, and it's exciting. The Soniqs constantly going back and forth with DarkZero, but these two organizations, they have constantly been at each other's necks for a long time. It always seems like no matter what, if these two are on the docket, well, there's a hell of a game to be played. No difference here on Clubhouse. Let's get into round 10 and see if DarkZero can continue their reign.
As we enter the round, it's a chance for DarkZero to lock up their penultimate round here if they can get themselves up to 6. The Soniqs, of course, bringing a bit of a different flair to this one. Much more of a presence established to flank watch. There's reason behind that, of course, as we are on bar stage. Back down on the first floor here, there's a lot more things to watch out for as they go to the execute. As DarkZero's defense has a lot more options to play out from that avenue as well. Some early cleanup here being done by the Soniqs roster, though, as they need to pop open a few barricades and whatnot. What better way to do that than use the Rotero drones, as it's a very safe way to send that piece of utility deeper into the map. And hopefully knock out a few key pieces of utility like zombie barricades, potentially an evil eye if you can get up that high, and maybe a caster barricade or 2 along the way also. Gunnar striking first here this time with the pre-fire going into Cash. Another one of his teammates is able to force Panba out of position, and that props to his elimination when he goes across that spray right there.
Already building up to a 5-5 scoreline for the Soniqs. They are not wary about their position at the moment. Working their way in from the secret side, looking to try and work this potentially from the stock position. Canadian, the rest of DarkZero still has some stalwart spots around this top floor. Skies swings in towards Cons, but he'll mostly stay around Master. As for Gunnar, seeing if there's going to be any late rotations down low while the rest of his team continues to break up this site. It's going to be Grixer first as he'll open up the wall, the soft breach here onto stage. Rotero for that, NJR waiting in the wings for Bar. Once again, the rest of DarkZero upstairs, so really need to get a kill back here. Air jab down might be the big play they're looking for. Gavini with one, but he can't get back around. Rexon perfectly timed on the refrag.
Rexon having that pickup. Soniqs are in control yet again, but can they keep it? Canadian, of course, with the big clutch in the last round. He's still on the prowl for this one, too. Trying to get in the way of any potential execute from SQ by maintaining that upstairs presence. Less than a minute to go here now. The Soniqs inching at an opportunity to try and jump down, go for the stage execute, but no. NJR ready for a first exchange. He goes down immediately after 2 Geo. Skies now pops back out from the depths of billiards. He finds one, but gets a bit too curious, looking for a second. Gives away his life. And now puts Canadian in another clutch scenario for a 1v2.
Oh, the plants are going down. Can Canadian stop it from above? They know that he wants to attempt to do this. You can see them constantly faking this back and forth. He'll drop in.
He's actually gonna go for
not going to use any bullets. Do they adjust for this? The plant's going to go through. Looks like Gio's going to swing for it. Shots in. Rotate back around. Gunner's going to work his way back out to secret. They actually might play this from upstairs as well. I don't know if there's any verticality over this position. Drone here that Canadian can find, and once again, just displaying how Solus is so incredibly good here inside their clutch. They can't even turn on cameras to try and figure out a clutch situation because Solus is still alive.
Gio ready with the swing. At the same time, you're needing to be cautious that he doesn't commit to it too early. There's the clink. He'll have heard that around the corner. Skies, of course, the first one is a bait. Lets his teammate distracted. Skies gets the trade, though, even though Canadian goes down. Now it's the 1v1, and unfortunately, they're not ready for that full wrap that Gio went for towards the tail end of it there. He'll shut it down instead. The Soniqs claim the round. They take us to another tie here. So it's 5-5. The next team to win 2 takes it, or we will reset and go to OT if they trade out again.
A game of inches between these two, John. It feels like no matter what side you're on, just can't get 2 rounds in a row. Once again, back to a 5-5 score line. DarkZero able to at least get a chance there inside of the 2 versus 2, but the positioning from the Soniqs way too strong. And their initial take of the building was really what started that off. Nice little pre-fire from Gunnar, takes down Pambazoo and sets the tone. DarkZero never really able to work out a man advantage from that point. They're able to equalize, and that also required the case going down. DarkZero not able to get too much done past that moment.
And so as things are evened again, take a look and see if the Soniqs are going to potentially try to change up their fate. They're going to bring the Ying out now for their own basement attack. Aside from that, there are no real earth-shattering changes on the repick. Citizen and Rexen just swapping between each other there. Gunnar is the only real change. So we will move ourselves now into the round. Let's take a peek here at how exactly the Soniqs look to steal basement yet again. DarkZero had a pretty definitive stance for the last one, and are looking to bring that out one more time to get their 6th round onto the board here. SSG is out and about here too. Giveni deployed himself to the depths of Logi and construction area, so some potential issues still to pop up. He's even lined up for a pre-fire too, if they try to go for the roof clear on that panel right there.
Might be expecting a buck to be coming through here, but here's the thing. There's no buck at all in this lineup, so Skeleton Key won't make quick work of that wall. Back and forth, Skies and Gunnar go. Trying to set the tone from what we saw inside of the last round, where Gunnar was able to do exactly that. Giveni will make the rotation out safely. Might as well dump the whole magazine as well. Make sure nobody tries to flood the angle whilst he drops. So DarkZero so far so good inside of their opening mid. A little damage dealt to both respective squads, but both of them still healthily enough to try and get through this. Have the secondary hard breach on Gunnar. Those Selmas of the Ace as well for Gio in case things go wrong. And the redundancy once again with Citizen. So plenty going on here for the Soniqs to try and get these hashes open.
Drone activated.
Soniqs taking some control of Kitchen. Able to work their way through that now. Citizen on the outskirts being a little bit cautious of actually stepping that full foot forward to the inside here. So won't go all the way just yet. Only needs the hatch open at this earlier phase of the round. That's all he'll really set footing to take at this point. Connor also had lost some health from an earlier dash forward, so could explain why there. As we take a look at him and see the lower HP that he has. Canadian and the others, though, patiently wait on the other end of that one. Soniqs not too convinced of themselves yet, but there we go, some more shots, this time ringing back on Canadian as Gunnar gets a bit of revenge. However, Canadian still with the big utility set piece. There's yellow pings all over the place for it. It's way off the mark, though. Gio had very much repositioned from that spot already, so not going to be claiming anything.
Soft destruction now for DarkZero. Haven't been able to find too much, at least when it comes through for the Soniqs. They'll be breaking up all of that flooring, getting the wall done here for Church as well. DarkZero trying to play back through the soft destruction, trying to steal up some of these walls as well when it comes to these kunai. Rexen will begin breaking up the last little remaining angles here inside of Kitchen. Try and get some grenades in towards the Church space as well. Sky is going to be in the exact same position we saw the Grixer the last time. Glasses on and some big kills to follow. The Soniqs have to get something going here. They'll take down Sky. Some nice pressure from them. It's up to NJR to try and keep this case from going down. It's on the other side of Armory, but he doesn't know where Grixer is. The cross being covered. He finds him. He just has to sit still. Don't move from behind the box. DarkZero have match point first on Clubhouse.
Another basement round goes into the hands of our defenders here as they indeed lock in that 6th round. No pauses have been taken by either team, so DZ has a moment to set themselves back if they want to. Things are very, very close. I don't think Goddess wants to get in the way of the momentum that still exists to an extent for the Soniqs. They want to full send this one into the final round and see if they can get the job done now to at least trigger overtime and save themselves from a lower bracket run.
It's going to be CCTV for our very next defense. This is the most defender-sided site that we have in the entirety of Clubhouse for the entire tournament. It's also the least played that we've had. Before this game, there was only 16 plays on this site throughout the entire tournament. Also, there was 14 plays on Clubhouse, almost matched up. 1 round on CCTV per game. This is going to be the third, I do believe, that we've seen here amongst these two teams. It could be the round that settles it for DarkZero. We saw what happened the last time. Sky's getting bullied out of his position when it came to the catwalk. The Soniqs able to push things even farther past that moment. Able to stun lock Gavini, and I mean literally stun lock him at the top of red as they poured 6 stuns into his location. Simply executed him for the very last kill. Soniqs not needing the case, just needing the frags. We'll see if this one shares a similar flair.
So let's go in with the Soniqs, give us one more change up to their lineup to try and make this cash play work. They're going to be doubling down on the emphasis for the site take here. They'll bring not only the Capitao out for Rexen, but even behind that one as well. The Monty going to get picked up this time by Geo to force the issue inside of the depths of, well, really, he can go anywhere just because of how easy it is to access a few of these key points. But if he goes what we have traditionally seen the Monty execute towards, it will be a garage take, and he'll be leaning himself into. But we'll hold our breath on that one and see where exactly he is going to be moving in towards, because I believe he's also opening up that construction wall at the moment here just to use his 2 utility pieces there. And there we go. There's the can opener to pop that one open. So another player will have an attempt to swing their way in there later in the round.
Impacts out, but the exact same situation we saw the last time from Sky. As he tosses it, no damage. Might have gotten rid of a Claymore there. Gunner did have his set up, so don't know if that was set on the door, but we'll have to see. More than likely won't matter too much, as we seldom get runouts from that door nowadays. The Soniqs will try and reinsert themselves onto plat, this time just via the, oh, some nice shots, Canadian!
Goodness, Gunner
they
was
let him snip away again! Captain Canadian with a big kill! DarkZero, they found it. Grixer, he'll be able to get the refrag though, onto Canadian, not ready for the hatch play. But how do they get past Garage now? No more Selma charges. Fortunately enough for them though, John, they have the wall open.
This goes back to those bans before. Not really an arduous process to open up the main pain points when it comes to hard breaches. Need to be eliminated on this map anymore due to the way both these teams band out and around each other. A single X-Kairos going down there, trying to deal with that zombie barricade. You see Sky's a little bit preoccupied, so he's not necessarily going to be available to chuck down another one, and you may already be out of them at this phase of the game as well. Toxic Babes continuing to hold things down, though, as we enter the final minute marker. Smoke's going to completely obscure Sky's vision. He cannot see anything from that spot unless he pushes outright over towards his far barricade, directly next to the staircase here. As he moves up towards it, Geo should be able to get past it. A little bit of an awkward angle, but he steals the playbook out of his opponent's hands and does one better as well. Canadian can get 1, but Geo can get 2 on it as he slaps them both down. Gavini, the only one that remains now in the 1v2, going to try and clutch this one out to still send DZ up to that pivotal 7th round and end the game here and now. 1v1 versus the Montaigne. He slaps the shield back down. Gavini with the good reads. He does see, of course, the deployment to the rappel to his left, but he also knows that Montaigne is scoped in, still with a shield to make this oh so difficult. There's the shot from Gavini to shut down the first.
No.
Where is the second? Oh, almost got it done with the sidearm, but Rexen wins it out instead. Overtime is activated for a 2nd time in the series to see a true winner out of this map.
Okay, gonna bring Claymores. Good shit, Rich.
You gotta give it to Gavini on that though. Ice in his veins there. Still able to manage all of that pressure. The entirety of this series resting on his shoulders. Still able to take down Geo. Just can't best Grixer. Rather Rexen. On the Capitao rather. He's been amazing this entire series as well. Rexen, every map having a big moment. Once again, able to push them over into overtime. When they need him most, he shows up. 13-7 for him on this map alone as of right now. Expecting a massive rating once we get to the tail end of this. So, into the best of 3 rounds, John. Soniqs going to have the defensive side for these. DarkZero going to have the offensive side. We switch in between, so once we go to the next round, DZ onto the defensive end, Soniqs onto the offense, and then vice versa for our last round if it takes that much. Soniqs headed to the basement to try and pick up a defensive win. Church Arsenal, once again, the least defensively sound site that we have available to us on Clubhouse at the current moment.
Well, as we now enter the depths of the basement, we'll see if the Soniqs have learned their lesson from the previous half that was played out here. They're going to be in position this time to shut this one out from DZ, or if DZ can potentially steal what would be a real singer around and take out Soniqs' own basement defense, setting them up yet again for the ultimate victory point that evaded them just on the last round here. Got the Soniqs with, once again, a little bit of a different formula to try and make things work. They've been slowly adjusting this over the course of the regulation halves, and once again brought out a little bit more flair for potentially their final go on this site. As they're going to have the cap can as well as the echo added into this one. It has come down to oftentimes to a late round execute with like 10 seconds or so left on the clock, so that echo may come out in the clutch here.
Patience for the Soniqs inside of the first minute. Looks like we're gonna have some players over near main stairs, and JR working his way in via secret. DarkZero, back to what we'd seen prior. Citizen with a little bit of an aggressive front here. I think he put his nitro cell on the ceiling inside of kitchen. Potentially get rid of some players rolling around logistics. Move his way back down the stairwell. Might be a little difficult to try and get that one to go from down there. They don't have any cameras to try and assist with that unless Gio's got a yokai all the way up top. So we'll just have to see. Halfway through now, and DarkZero have got to get down to brass tacks. Start breaking up these hatches, start applying pressure around the base floor. Try and get these picks on the Soniqs.
It's the slow work to get open the kitchen hatch. Not going to be much that can get in the way of it, though. The defenders, unfortunately, with only those impacts to play out. Rexon will pop one, but Skies has so much in excess, it's not really going to matter when everything is said and done. Anyway, even if both of those impacts are successfully used out, you're not really going to be able to get the second player with impacts in position to counter that one. Just turns into a little bit of an arduous process for the defense, as they're worried about something else over here. Blue is being heavily pressured by DarkZero's utility, specifically a Terror drone about to be swung down into it even as well. Rexon on the other side of that one, staring at the brunt of all of this aggression, trying to fend off the actual push when it comes to Baron. Where is it from DZ? Once again, bringing us down to that final few seconds margin to be able to execute. They're going to be taking a risk in doing so, as no damage whatsoever has been done to the Soniqs roster. DarkZero is perfectly okay with that if they have the intel required to make this execute work. Citizen immediately catches the first drop as NJR is eliminated, and rest of the team to follow it forward now as they'll try to take church control. Kafe with a good opener, but now they need to move forward and take the half bar as well. Kafe scoring that kill as well. Beautifully done by him on the entry. Rexon did fend off some of the arsenal pressure, and now Kafe's got to go to work excessively so. Still trailing a third kill here with the loss of Panba being considered. Gio finally puts him down. Sky is all that remains. He at least gets the plant and is able to battle out from that, bringing it down to a 1v1. Can he maintain? And indeed he can! A big clutch from Skies yet again to put DZ on map and match point.
We got the dream! Let's fucking... These rounds are super close, guys.
It's fine. Like, they remember if you're dead, you just call like they're not planning church.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, there's an echo cam for that.
Alright, let's go.
Alright, we're walking in a church, and right now that's like the one place that we have lost on attack every single time. So like Gio was saying, like cash, Gio's making calls and people aren't doing it. People are sitting there, people are freezing, people are stopping. So if Gio's calling for something, please take the initiative to actually do it, because like I said, you guys are stalling, and it's taking too much time. Gio's massive process, like 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah. I think we're fine here. We'll call the plant, we'll clear the map, and we'll really just run out there. I think we should still go here. It's fine. Remember what they do. It's one K9, one dirt, two blue,
one blue, one church.
Yeah,
let's fucking get it, push.
Listen, I think we're gonna late round. I can what's it called? We can ace the wall. If they go there again, we'll ace the wall, and then you're running a church.
Well, fantastic prediction there from the bench of Soniqs, as it will be a Church Arsenal defense. And for some of you trying to figure out some of the comms there, more than likely recognized Dirt, might not have recognized K9. That's AK or gun or whatever you want to call it, right outside of the door immediately to the left. If you're really quiet, if you go in a private game and you're really quiet in that corner, you'll hear dogs barking outside, and that's why they call it K9. Fun fact.
There you go.
There's some dog houses out there, so. Pretty cool stuff. But either way, It's past everything else. The Soniqs trying to get some things figured out for that setup and the positions known for DarkZero. We'll see if they try and favor what Soniqs has already mentioned inside of that TAC timeout. Also talking a bit about how they were stalling out on their executions, Geo calling for things, the call not really being respected, or no one really adhering to what was needed for the situation, and the wheels falling off the wagon due to that. Can't have a misstep this time now. Have to be absolutely perfect. Soniqs are going to bring in the OSA. Everything else making quite a bit of sense. That's going to be the freshest face to this entire operator list.
Soniqs out and about. Let's see how they try to clear things here. Save their upper bracket run. DarkZero patiently waiting for that execute to come through, and of course with a tactical pause just having been executed, they'll be extra cautious about the way they move themselves into this one as well, maintaining some initial stairway positions specifically over here towards blue, but not keeping themselves into it. All 5 players have fallen back. It's a full bunker setup from the Soniqs roster, so we'll have to see if the dirt diversion that they were talking about potentially going for here on the execute is going to be the winning play for them to work their way directly into the site. There's not much reason to delay aside from that. The Soniqs will realize that there is no upstairs presence in just a moment, and then will begin to relocate themselves into the basement, having the full 2-minute breadth of the remaining time to do so, of course.
Quiet across the map. A little bit of a misstep there between the 2 DarkZero members, one trying to throw a disc, the other one trying to throw a knife, and well, knife wins, doesn't it? They're breaking up that angle there for the bar moto hatch. Citizen getting rid of default cameras and gonna start breaking up some of this flooring. Always slow rolling when it comes to Clubhouse here, folks, in these opening minutes, especially when there's no roam game, really. It's just DarkZero trying to make sure that Soniqs don't throw a random person at some odd avenue, and that's really it. They're waiting for them to get these hatches open, and obviously Soniqs have got to figure out what's going on in the map before they can do so, and there's a lot of little crooks and crannies around Clubhouse to check out, so this takes a little while. But now that we've crossed that bridge, potentially for the last time, DarkZero have this last minute to play with. So much utility at their disposal. That Nitro cell could sing for a Canadian.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Have to wait for the perfect moment to use it, though. As DarkZero continue to be ever so patient down in the depths of the basement, not giving anything with regard to angles or player count over so far to this Soniqs roster, but that may begin to change now over the next 2 minutes. Clutch impact there, too. Saves the mirror window and this current position from Giveni. He'll be able to still be a menace from this spot. Things just not looking all that great for our attackers right now. Where's the windup? Where's the big swing to get them into it? Okay, here we go. Now it's going to start to explode out onto the site. 3 kills in a row. NJR finally responding with a deep hold inside of Dirt, but Gio already with the counter for that. Beautifully played out here from the Soniqs. Took us a while to get the execute into the actual site. Once they found those blue entries, things quickly fell into their hands. Round 15 is triggered, and we will go to one final duel between these teams to decide the winner of the series.
What a magic moment from the Soniqs. Procs an immediate DarkZero timeout. Let's listen in.
Call the timeout? Yeah. Just give us another time. We're on time. I got to go lower. We're chilling here, though. I mean, this map is literally ours.
Did we win bar? Did they go bar?
They haven't gone bar. They didn't go bar yet. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't think they'll go cash. I think they're most likely going to go. Most likely going to go gym. Yeah. They might just go basement too and cook up. I don't know. I think we have to react. I think if we go gym, we're fine. We gotta be careful with impact. Open top is different. Maybe we hold on at top. What's it called? Coverage divisive? Yeah. We could do like the left, and then I can release the left or something. Yeah. See this one.
So some smart usage here from Mint. This is a classic, a sports classic especially. Just use your timeouts, man. Make sure you use them rather than lose them. Never want to see somebody end a game or end a half with some timeouts in the pocket. It means you're not doing something right. So I'm going to give him some time to think about it. You guys heard the boss himself, Nadian, talking about what he considered was going to happen for the future of this round, and it's really looking reactive. And honestly, I respect that because he was considering what could eventually happen, which he considered to be the top floor gym bedroom, but as he said, they could go basement as well. He didn't think they were going to go cash. He was right about that. It's going to be the basement. It's going to be the ladder. So Soniqs now, they're going to be bringing the mirror into the fold for themselves as well. Of the Warden too. So a lot of different flares, a lot of different flavors that we saw from DarkZero coming into the Soniqs arsenal. And you already saw the recognition. That entire op list changed from DarkZero. That's them recognizing that this is the basement setup. They're going to bring in that soft destruction, bring in the nades and the extra influence and utility to support that drone and info game in the likes of Yana. And this is it, folks. One round to rule them all. One to rule North America. Who's going to take it?
We find it out over the next 2 minutes and 45 seconds. As DZ takes up their initial positions to begin clearing. Just the upstairs clear for right now, so don't expect anything crazy. Like Stokes had mentioned, the Soniqs are taking a page of the DZ book, so they're also going to play this one pretty much entirely into a bunkered position. All 5 players just by default going directly down into the basement, waiting out the time from there. DZ will have the whole map to play with. That certainly means as well they're going to use the full extent of this 2 minutes and 20 seconds that still sit on the clock to make sure they have every box checked off before moving into the site.
Well, this is the beauty of it. This is one of those rounds where you make the proper play. Even an ill-advised one might look stupid, might look silly. But if you make the proper one, you end this entire match in one foul swoop. Takes somebody with some discipline, somebody with some aggression, a want to win, the drive. DarkZero looking for that drive, looking for their dream right now of beating the Soniqs, the team that selected them out of their group. Thought it was going to be so easy for them. Now it's down to a singular round. Very hard-fought game so far between these two. DarkZero begin breaking up the soft destruction around the map, and you can see every single alarm going off in DarkZero's head as they move around this map. Even worried about the cap can traps that could potentially, a ride around the map. Double Claymore here for Gavini as well, just trying to make sure that no pressure can come out from the Soniqs downstairs, and this execution's almost set up.
So, as the kitchen hatch is going to be popped open, that's really probably the beginning of the end for DarkZero's setup phase here to get themselves into the basement. And we'll continue to, for any and all options, pick up earlier kills if the Soniqs present anything, and they will. Gunnar gonna get decked by a nade thrown right into his face from behind the zombie barricade. The damage bleeds through, takes him down. Thankfully, it happens a little bit too early in this execute, so they can't immediately follow it up to get the confirmation. He'll be brought back from the depths, obviously at much lower HP, but a win is a win here. That's how the Soniqs, who have now not been paying attention to DarkZero's setup, specifically coming from church side for the last 20 seconds or so, leaves the window open for them to potentially excel. And indeed, NJR will, with another oil pit push that's been working out so well for him throughout this map, works his way in. Citizen striking back though from the inside, and Grixer does the same. The cross against Blue may very well be what sends DarkZero down the river here, but they're not giving up just yet. Panba with another exchange set against him, and Impact does some slight damage to both Gaveni and Panba. They're getting tripped up, they're getting congested. This is the problem for DZ. Now they don't have enough space to make this work, it seems. Getting themselves out to Arsenal. They'll at least start the plant, but now we're at 0 timer. Oh. Panba though holding the line for the fight, coming in to shut it down. Gavini with the big shutout. DarkZero win it out in the final round of overtime, and DZ save their upper bracket position, sending the Soniqs down into the lower bracket instead.
Who's the script team? You picked me!
I'll let those words sing for himself right there. You picked them, Soniqs, and DarkZero let it ring. They let it sing. Oh my, what a showing from DZ. That last man right there, Gavini. This is his rookie year, folks. He just got here. He just got here. This is his first tournament. Absolutely amazing stuff from them. So very impressed with DarkZero's showing here. But a hard-fought game from the Soniqs. A big mistake in this choice as they'll drop the series 1-2.
Big choice indeed, and one that unfortunately just does not go their way. DarkZero more than ready for the attack onto the basement. There's some struggles getting themselves beyond blue, but indeed the big clutch comes out from Gaveni and Panba. They're inside of the 2vx to give DZ this map, and of course the series along with it. That'll be a massive win for them. Soniqs were lights out in their play during the group stage here, so a very tough opponent on DZ's potential run to the finals has now already been dealt with.
Yes, indeed. You know, I love that you brought up that last round as well there, because all things considered, them rolling out of blue like that, I never thought that they were going to be able to not only work out that plant, but be able to prevent long enough to get the plant down and have the planter assist with that last little 1v1 engagement. That was down to the wire, literal milliseconds in between who won that map. And, you know, it just goes to show you just how exciting the Six Invitational can be. And it's, once again, an exciting year here in 2023.
We're just getting started for today, folks. The bracket stage has begun today, but only 2 matches have been played out so far on each stream. We've got plenty more to go. Stick with us. We're going to go to a quick break. When we do come back, we'll have your analysts ready to break this game down and get you ready for the next one.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Welcome back, friends, to the Command Center live at SI 2023. I'm Soniqs, your host, and joining us, victorious from their matchup for DarkZero versus Soniqs, it's Big Bad Canadian, Bro Canadian. What's up? How you doing? Congrats on the win.
Doing good. We won. So yeah, we got Koi coming up for top 6 and main stage potentially. So doing good. Of course, after a win, yeah. And Soniqs, they're looking like one of the best teams here. So obviously very happy to be pulling a dub over them.
All right, Jesse Jacob, hello again. You have any questions for our NAL competitor?
I think so. That was maybe one of the most stressful games I've ever had just as a viewer.
Yeah.
Troy, you've been around the block a little bit. I'm curious to know how, compared to some of the games that you've been in, with this one, especially map 3, Clubhouse, felt like every single round's come down to a 1v1, 1v2. How did this compare to some of your other games? Was it more stressful? Was it just another day on the block?
I think that was like a middle of the pack game. In terms of like my history of stressful games, that one was like middle of the pack. Like, there was a blowout the second map. The maps we won, yeah, they were very stressful. I mean, I'm exaggerating. It was very stressful, but also like I'm pretty sure every series I play at majors is stressful, and now the same with the team too. I'm seeing that I got the war paint there. That's from hugging the boys. But yeah, every game is always stressful like that. And that's just kind of how it is at these events, right? When you're playing the best teams, like they're gonna make you work for it. Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, it feels better winning like that. You feel like you earned it, so yeah.
I mean, you're giving the rest of us heart attacks along the way, but you're still making it work.
I mean, how do you think I feel?
No, for real. I mean, with Gav, though, how's that going so far? You've had 5 straight series with the guys so far. The first time he's ever playing is at literally the World Championship. Give your take on what his integration's been like so far.
Honestly, it's been great. A big reason why we looked at Gav and Alex, we wanted kind of a shake-up in like the culture and personality of the team. We wanted to bring a bit more energy, a bit more cohesion, chemistry, and all that. And honestly, it's helped a lot. I think Gav is a huge part of that. I think Alex is as well. But Gav's like a super goofy, happy-go-lucky guy.
Yeah.
Brings the best out of Rob. So yeah, he's been great. He's been playing very well. I don't think, obviously, he's not dropping like the same statistics he was in CL. But I mean, he was on Mr. B's team, who's like setting him up to go absolutely nuke, and he's playing against much worse players.
True.
So now he's playing in our system where, you know, we have multiple people who are set up, so not everyone always gets the limelight. It kind of ends up evenly distributed. So yeah, he's going to end up doing worse in some situations, but I think he's been doing his job well. I think the first game at the very start, we kind of shook off some nerves, but that was it. I'm very proud of how he's doing for literally his first event, first Pro League match even. Like,
yeah.
Literally just thrown straight into SI, so yeah.
You go up against Koi after this, and you know they've obviously been doing very well in their group. How do you feel about going up against them?
I mean, we feel good going up against anyone. We're gonna sit down, do our prep, show up and play our game. We just, at the end of the day, like I said, I think every team that's in this tournament still is like a very legitimate threat. It's going to be nothing but good games, no pushovers. So
what would you say to them?
What did I say to them?
Get a little feisty.
Have fun. See you at the pool. I don't know.
Fair enough.
They've been at the pool every day. The other day, Leon and Sathis? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Sathis, yeah.
I ran into the elevator in their bathrobes. I had 2 cups of coffee, so I had to have them, you know, card me in to go up to my floor, and they told me meet me by the pool. So, you know, people will meet them by the pool after the match.
I mean,
I don't know if they'll be there though.
If only they didn't put the card on there, you could have been just stuck there.
That's true.
Wouldn't be able to play today.
That's true. Well, it was yesterday. I think yesterday or the day before.
Been stuck an entire night in the.
I would have been stuck with 2 scalding hot cups of coffee in my hands, just struggling.
It's real dedication. Yeah. Canadian, thank you very much for joining us at the Command Center. It's an honor to have you on here, and good luck for your match against Koi. That is later on in the day, around less than 3 hours from now. It's pretty incredible. Jesse, Jacob, how about we continue on with our game?
Sounds good.
Why not?
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for joining us on here. Map 1, as you'll see in our series, Kafe Dostoyevsky 8-6 for DarkZero. A tight one, Jesse, but they won it out.
Absolutely, they did. I mean, starting up on Kafe, that was obviously DarkZero's map pick, and we can see in hindsight, if they had not won it out in overtime, would have been a problem for them, right? Next map didn't exactly go their way, but they did manage to clutch it out. Had a great time, especially on that first half, going in with the defense, really make sure they could hold things down. Skies, I thought, was always in really strong positions to be able to turn that one into a win for them. Felt like they were pretty confident on it, although it did take a little bit longer than maybe they would have liked. Now that we're in best of threes, it doesn't matter if it's going to overtime, okay? As long as you get the map win.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind the Kafe pick if they think there were enough things that the Sonics maybe were or weren't showing in that first game against Wolves that were things that they could take and put to use in their own playbook. I love that they're still using Monty about as much as anybody else in this tournament. Seems like they're using it maybe not as much as CAG did back in groups, but it still feels like that's a weapon in their arsenal they're totally fine pulling out. And to be honest, I was worried. I didn't think DarkZero was going to win this thing. It looked like their attacks weren't up to pace with where they needed to be, and because Kafe is such a big map and you have so many things to clear, maybe 1 or 2 more rounds and suddenly we see Sonics actually take that and suddenly they're undefeated on Kafe through this entire tournament. But no, DarkZero got that one done.
Now going to map 2 on Border, blowout for DarkZero. Canadian described it himself, a 7-3 victory for Sonics to take it into our third map. I was very surprised seeing Sonics with 5 defense round wins on a map like Border.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like DarkZero were really struggling with the with the intel game there. It felt like the drones sometimes were missing players they really shouldn't have been missing. We saw that one round where we saw, what was it, Grixer able to make a big flank, kind of being misdroned there, and we saw another angle as well where it felt like the drones were a bit of a problem. So that seems to be the threat in that first half. The trades were certainly really good from Sonics as well on that map. You got to give Sonics some credit in this best of 3. Obviously, we just talked to Canadian, we've been hyping up DarkZero, but man, did Sonics not play a fantastic series here as well. And of course, Border was kind of the ideal of that, the top of the hill for them. Unfortunate they couldn't close it out on map number 3, but as far as that map was concerned, yeah, really strong first half there.
I'll just say it, it's just a stat. There's nothing special about it. 3-game loss streak for DarkZero on Border at this tournament. The first 2 times they did it, it was their own map pick, and now they're losing it like this against an NA compatriot. If you can take Border out of your pool for the rest of this tournament, you're probably sitting a lot prettier. You have to have other options in there that you probably prefer a lot more than Border at this rate, and now that you've got another one of these types of losses under your belt, you like anything else at this point, I'll be happy with. It's not just me and my own anti-Border bias. It's not exactly my favorite map in the pool. But as far as DarkZero are concerned, just look at what you've done so far and look at 3 straight losses. Just do anything else at this point. That's all I ask.
And on Clubhouse, there's no 2 ways around it. We were going all the way, as we went all the way to max OT 8-7 DarkZero victory. But again, you flip a coin with a couple different temperatures and a couple different degrees here and there, it would have changed our scoreline, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, might have been just another day in the office for Canadian. However, it did feel like this game, every single round was pulling at the heartstrings. It felt like there was a 1v2 followed by a 1v1. The final half of this map was just so tense. And in the end, I think DarkZero did get away with a couple more of those clutches than what we saw from Sonics. But Sonics certainly had a few of their own as well. That bar stage round, one of them after getting the kit down was a big one for him. So very tense final round. I do think you've got to go through this series and you have to kind of criticize DarkZero on their attacks a little bit. I think even on this map where they did go 3 for 3 in their attack and split, it felt like they were a little discoordinated on certain rounds. It felt like maybe things weren't connecting in the ways that they should have been. But something to look back on, right, for DarkZero. Certainly they can be happy about this win, but moving on against Koi, some of these might get exploited a little bit more, and so they've got to be careful about that going forward.
Yeah, I feel like if you're a team that has slow attacks, Church is one of those sites that just exacerbates how slow a team can be, especially if you're having some speed problems. And even though DarkZero went 2 for 2 on the times where they were having to attack Church, actually 3 for 2 because we ended on Church in round 15, they did manage to pick things up, but there's just a lot of steps you have to follow on a map like Club. And if you're droning every corner and you're setting up the execute and it's still happening within 30 to 40 seconds every time, and if for some reason it fails initially, then you have to pick the pieces back up and adapt again after you lose some players. I don't know if DarkZero has quite figured out that adaptability as much as they would like. Their ceiling is still far higher than it is right now. And Sonics are an opponent where you're not watching those games thinking, how good are Sonics going to be? You're watching for the minutiae and the little details about things DarkZero is doing right and doing wrong, because we know Sonics is a great team. It's just a matter of how DarkZero follows through, and they're doing a much better job than I thought.
DarkZero, of course, eliminating Sonics in the upper bracket means that they move on to play Koi a bit later on today, but also because of this, Sonics will be playing Astralis, so they still have another NA team to go through. But if they lose that second second time. That is it. They are done. They'll be playing later on tomorrow. Our MVP for the series, who is it? And then we'll close out our post-game desk for our first one. We have another one to carry off over to Pambazu at 114 kill death ratio. That's his. In this case, it is just, you know, the rating, the player performance in this case. 67% cost, a bit low. What do you expect for an MVP? So I'm wondering where's that impact happening in other places?
Well, I think he was being able to have a couple of big pop-off rounds, right? Towards the end of Border, I know DarkZero didn't have a great time on Border, but that bathroom defense where he had the beautiful Solus flank coming up in the 2v2 to be able to stop that push coming down from Soniqs, that was a great one to come in from him. Also thought the little entry happening back in round number 5 at Gym, DarkZero. Nice for him to be able to find a couple of those opening picks. It's always kind of what his role has been, right? Being able to get there early and aggressive and find those frags to start DarkZero off on the right foot. I thought he was doing that pretty consistently throughout this game, so certainly on for him.
I mean, Skies had the highlight play. Troy had a highlight play or two. Gab was in there clutching 1 or 2, or very nearly clutching a couple of rounds. But Panbo was just the constant presence that needed to be there, and he got MVP for it. So I'm actually very cool with that. All
right, thank you very much, Jesse and Jacob. It's good to finally have us with you here.
Finally.
SI, but we still have one more game to close out for this part of the day. BDS and W7M just ended, so we'll be back with another interview in just a moment.